Okay, so on to Street Talk. We're spanning 2023, 2024. We're doing 2 years worth of episodes, Gemma, in the next couple of hours or so. Starting off.
It'll feel like it.
It wasn't the best of weeks, was it? Some bits were okay, but I don't really like dodgy gangster stuff, and that did make up kind of the middle bit of the week.
We had somebody on YouTube going, "Oh, if you don't like drug storyline, then I bet you wouldn't like Breaking Bad." No, I love Breaking Bad. I might not have said
it in that voice.
Well, okay, all right.
I like Breaking Bad. I just don't want to see it in Corrie.
No, it's never interesting. This is the thing. It's the same as the bloody Underworld story. It's like, oh, it's a drug man's here. He's mean and horrible, and he's causing troubles. Okay, what's new though? Nothing. It's just a nasty drug man's come along.
I know.
Isn't he horrible?
Anyway,
has he got a gun this time? You'll have to wait.
I wouldn't say that the calibre of gangster on Breaking Bad is quite, standing shoulder to shoulder with Corrie's gangsters.
You call me back when Bethany Platt chokes on her own vomit and dies. Then I'll tell you whether I like the story or not.
Definitely, Bethany Platt is back this week.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert, Bethany's back.
Well, we're gonna the first story that we're gonna do is this week. The week's story is called "The Rovers Return" and "The Rovers Return," but there's different apostrophes in there. The Rovers.
It just only works grammatically.
It wrote perfectly written down. The Rovers Return is in the return of the Rovers, as in the pub, and the Rovers Return. Bethany's been roving. She is a singular rover, and she has also returned. It's as simple as that.
Would you
We're going
like
to be talking about that one first.
A Breaking Bad style story where they try to dissolve somebody's body in acid and it falls through the ceiling?
Well, they do like to up the ante every time with the serial killers and whatnot, don't they?
Maybe we'll just retire the podcast if they ever dissolve somebody's body.
Well,
in a bathtub.
They dissolved a bit of somebody's body in acid last year, didn't they? Poor Ryan.
No, it doesn't count if you're alive when they do it. It's not Hugh Frame Roger Rabbit.
Next storyline, I'm calling Hey, I remember you. Because Damon Hay is back this week alongside his brother Harvey Gaskell. So we'll talk about all the gangstery nonsense there with that one. We then had some Poor Paulie Paul, and I thought that last night's episode was absolutely fantastic. I love that. This is Thursday, by the way, if we didn't say before. Wednesday's episode, I loved it. Peter Ash, brilliant. Next one, I had to explain this one to you a little bit, Gemma, but the...
We're a bit...
Maybe the PlayStation gamers out there will get this.
I didn't have a PlayStation when I was that
I've
age.
never had a PlayStation, but I still made up this storyline title. This is the Cassie storyline at the garage. It's called Scratch It and Crank.
Yes, after the game.
Explain this, Gemma. See how well I explain this to you. Which is called...
Catch It
No.
and... What? What?
What's the game called?
Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah. And this is Scratch It and Crank. Scratch It being...
Yeah, I don't know.
Cassie?
Oh, why?
Because she scratched and cranked. That's literally been the whole point of the story. You're not watching it.
No.
And Crank, obviously Kevin, Ransom Banks.
Cranks and Banks.
Anyway, Scratch It and Crank, I quite like that. I'm sure that at least one person will be having a slight giggle at that.
I'm just here because of my good looks, not because of
Put your
anything
iPad
else.
Down.
No.
We also had a bit of the doggy storyline, the K9 at number 9, but we still haven't seen
having this iPad would have no effect on how well I remember anything.
There was a little bit of the Ed Gamble story, and there were a few little bits of Eliza and Bobby and Lauren as well, but not very much.
Week I'm going to say I know who Ed Gamble is now, because I feel like that's knowledge, that's pop culture knowledge that I've acquired and everyone needs to know. Also, Taylor Swift, she's around.
Would you like to do the Rovers Return and the Rovers Return story, or would you like to do Hey, I Remember You?
I'll do the Rovers one.
Go on then.
Is that what you want?
Yeah, no, that's fine. So, but this is all starting on Sunday night, isn't it? New Year's Eve, we were at our friend's new house, giant house, very jealous. And meanwhile, over in Weatherfield, things were afoot at the pub. I'm just opening up so you can launch yourself in at any point here, Gemma.
On Sunday.
Come on, really sell it.
No, can I just read it?
Yes? Yeah, you can read it.
So everything's closed up. All the Rovers is closed, but they've gone in, haven't they? And they're taking down all the boards, and Jenny's all thrilled, and Glenda's like, oh, we're going to get everyone to help us set up. And then Jenny's like, oh, get that phone up just to see if we're going to have any alcohol, because it might go a bit wrong if we don't. And then everybody's cleaning and getting ready, and it was actually a really nice community spirit.
Yeah, it was. There was at least 6, 7, 8 main characters in the
there
Rovers
were
at
people
once.
there that weren't usually around. Like Steve was there, Gary was there. weren't they?
Gary was very helpful. He hung up a dartboard and
Put Betty's picture up.
I loved it. But Gary was like drilling the dartboard into the wall, and then when they found, I can't remember, was it Sean found the picture of Betty? He's like, "This is a man's job, Gary. You better do this." And Gary's like, "Flock." But it's like he didn't even have to drill a hole for her. Anybody could have hung that picture on the wall, but Gary was the one.
It should have been Sean because they've got a special affinity for one another.
They do. They have hot pot recipe in common.
Yeah. So everyone's like, "Oh, we should do fancy dress for the opening night because
we haven't done a fancy dress episode in Corrie for a little while.
So they're going to go to the charity shop. Daniel comes into the pub when it's open, and there's a bit of a back and forth between him and Daisy because he's still bitter and jealous, and it could have been their pub, but then she slept with Ryan and etc. It goes back to his flat. And he's like, "Oh, who's this person arrived in a taxi? What are you doing here?" And that confused like so many people. The only reason that I wasn't confused is because I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, they did like shout this from the rooftops that Bethany was coming back. Yeah, but if you don't like
spoilers and you're really good at avoiding them,
I'm half
a lot of people
that.
Were like, "Did I miss an episode? Something happened?" Because not only was that confusing, but also it was only half an hour long.
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it?
So everyone's like, have I missed half an hour where they explain what the hell is going on here?
I really think it had been so much more effective if they hadn't announced that she was coming back. But they were in publicity overdrive about Lucy Fallon being back. And it was rumoured all the way back in like July, I think, was it, that we found out that she was returning? So it's been a long time coming. It's going to be almost
impossible to hide a returning character these days because people are always there.
I think who was it? Cindy Beale or somebody? Somebody came back to EastEnders earlier this year, like a big name.
It's not.
I'm just saying it's not completely impossible to hide a return.
Where do they film EastEnders?
London? I don't know.
Do they have people hanging around the gates?
I don't know.
No, you don't know. So why are you comparing it? My point is, there are people now who are Coronation Street fans who are there 7 days a week. And if Lucy Fallon walks in the back gate, if she goes in by walking or she goes in by bike, people are going to see her and go, "Oh, Bethany's back." They can't.
I think if they wanted to cover up that.
Yes, but I'm saying they would have to make a concerted effort, and they don't want to, so they're not going to do it. If I was a producer, I would say, if you're a returning character, I'm not going to tell anybody. You'll come in by taxi.
Yeah, I think if.
I guess
hopefully there were some people, I'm sure there were some people watching it who didn't know that Bethany was coming back. But so I liked what they did in principle with Daniel, like, "Who are you?" Because that's the sort of thing that's like, oh, intriguing. And it was quite a lot later that we found out who it was, and when it was revealed who it was a bit of a saucy reveal, wasn't it?
Well, it's funny because it's like, would I have guessed this was Bethany?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've been robbed of that moment, Corrie.
Who else could it have been?
Exactly.
That would have got,
His mum?
Oh, Ryan, you're back from Glasgow. Yeah, mum maybe. There's only so
many people it could be. Right, so anyway.
Anyway.
So meanwhile in the pub, Glenda and Jenny are telling Daisy that Daniel's smitten with her and that she should go round there and surprise him with a kiss. Because so she does.
They were all dressed up in their 80s gear at this point, weren't they?
Oh my goodness. I was like, when I saw Jenny, I was like, oh,
Jenny looked absolutely amazing.
She did when she was a teen, when she was in Corrie around the first time. Oh my goodness, she looks so cool.
Big hair.
Glam, big
shoulder pads, pads. The blue.
It was it's like a flashback, wasn't it?
I thought it was fantastic. And I am not a big fan of fancy dress on Coronation Street, but I will say, I think I kind of like what everyone was wearing in this. It was because you weren't dressing as silly characters. It was just retro fashion, and I loved it.
I thought that was actually really fun.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of the times they're either cheap costumes or they're supposed to be funny and they're not.
Daisy had this pink
outrageous
satiny thing on, didn't she?
Who did?
Daisy.
Yes.
And did she have a little tiara in her hair? Glenda, she had this horrible kind of pea green blouse. Was it with a huge bow? I don't know.
Pussy bow.
I saw somebody on Twitter saying that she looked like Elsie Tanner, and I'd seen, because we didn't get to see this episode until just before Monday, so I'd seen a few spoilers before then. But I totally got it. I don't think I would have thought it myself, but knowing somebody saying
Yeah,
she looked
somebody
like,
said it. I was like,
she came and was like,
yeah.
yeah, she really does.
She
Then you
could
had Gemma with her crazy professor wig coming out at all angles and the silly
Oh, I
glasses.
didn't like the wig.
I thought it was fun. I thought it was just perfect for the character. And then Sean had the most garish shirt. Well done. Really, that was a lot of fun. Helped me enjoy the night.
And it was funny because some of the bits were Mary's that she donated.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It was, wasn't it? Them saying we
found these ridiculous outfits. She's just like, oh, that's my shirt.
I mean, I don't think
love that.
It looked like something that Mary would wear, and we certainly had never seen her wearing that before. But I didn't mind. I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. Good job.
So, Daisy's knocking on Daniel's door. Who should answer but Bethany, wrapped in a towel with Daniel behind her. Daniel was emboldened to get his nips out all week long.
He was flaunting his boobies all week, wasn't he,
know.
Daniel? He's got a girlfriend. I'm just going to walk around with my dressing gown open up.
Yeah, aren't you cold?
It's January,
down.
man.
You're a
Come
teacher.
on.
You can't afford to
he's
heat.
hot stuff now, isn't it?
You cannot afford to heat your flat to the extent you can walk around with bare nipples.
It's so funny. He's like, I've got rid of Ryan. I'm the alpha male around here. I'm going to walk around with my chest out.
Starts weeing on the kitchen island.
That thing that I just said about Bethany coming back there, that reminded me of another funny line. This is like a little exchange, I think. Was it David and Sarah, maybe? Bethany, when she comes into the flat and somebody said, Bethany, I didn't know you were coming back. And David's like, I did. Did you, David? No. It's just like the simplest of lines, but funny. The delivery of it was brilliant. I loved it. It's just like David wants, he just wants to join in.
Oh gosh, the cat's completely soaked.
Oh no, Abby, is it raining again? Oh gosh. Oh well, okay. Well, she can come and have a warm with us. So that was a bit of a shock for Daisy.
Yes,
she doesn't know who Bethany is.
Michael, Bethany's there, and Daisy's heartbroken, and she posed for quite a few soap magazine pictures against various walls, looking sad at people and thinking about things. And Jenny comes over to see her as they're all singing
Auld Lang Syne, as you do.
What does that mean?
Nothing. It's gobbledygook.
How did
it's
it go?
Gang Gooley.
Ging, gang, gooly, gooly, gooly. I petitioned for that song.
To be the New Year's Eve song.
Yeah. She says, how did it go? It didn't, she says. Oh.
Can I just say,
devastated?
first correct... Well, no, it's not the first can't get my words out. Not my first correct prediction of the year, but rather my last correct prediction of 2023 is that we would get a pan above the Rovers with terrible CG fireworks. And by gum we did, didn't we?
They really...
They were scraping the bottom of the barrel this week.
This was like it was a placeholder. I'm surprised there wasn't text on the screen that says insert fireworks here instead of the fireworks, because it literally looked like they got a GIF from a bit art, wasn't it? It was I think somebody... what it reminded me of. It looked like somebody completed a level on their Super Nintendo. And it's like, congratulations.
It is, well done, you made it into the car. Well, I think somebody didn't tell the graphics designer that it was just the costumes that were 1980s for that scene and not the CGI.
You shouldn't be able to see individual pixels.
It was so bad. When I say poor fireworks, usually it's like, I can kind of tell they're fake. But this was just... And it was so unnecessary because they were having the flashy coloured lights on the actors down below. You didn't need to pan to see. And they kept doing it.
Yes, we had 3 or 4.
3 or 4 shots.
There was
one,
fine,
you must.
It didn't add anything.
It was dreadful. Absolutely terrible.
The only reason you do that is if you spent money on fireworks.
Yeah.
You didn't spend money on fireworks, did you? So don't do it.
Why can't
there was no
just
need.
Light some real fireworks? I know.
I don't care if they do
safety,
that.
Blah blah blah.
I'm sure that they could. I don't care if they do. I mean, I thought I hated, CG'd in the background of the Rovers because they never seem to get the the perspective or the scale correct. They always look obviously pasted in. Right?
It's really hard because you know that it's fake. So as good as they can make it, sometimes I think I'm not going to be able to stop thinking it's fake. I think that's part of the problem that I had with the volume wall stuff. In my head, I know it's not there, so my brain is like, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. But yeah, like you said, in this instance, there's no hiding it.
I mean, I love that they did that because it was hilarious.
Gives us something to rant
and
about.
enraging. So good job, Coronation Street. On Monday, and you know, sometimes when I do
One
this,
more
I was gonna
thing.
say, sometimes when I do this, I'm like, yeah, you know, I can say what I like, but I couldn't do better than this. I couldn't write this. I couldn't direct this. I couldn't do X, Y, Z. I couldn't perform that any differently. I couldn't have whatever. I couldn't come up with something better than this. You know, I can say what I like, but at the end of the day, I'm just somebody who watches and doesn't create. I could do that better. I could have done that better. I genuinely believe that I could have done better fireworks than that. Even if I'd had to go and buy some, I still would have even been able to afford to make it look better than they did.
Well, you know, with my new video editing skills that I've acquired making the Conversation Street Award video this week, I think I might have been able to give it a bit of a shot myself as well.
Is there really
Sorry,
no
Corrie
money?
graphics designer, but come on.
Is there really no money for this?
Maybe the Corrie budget starts at the beginning of the new year, and they were like eking it out until the 31st of December rather than April like the rest of us.
They spent all the money on buying Sean's piano tie.
Oh yeah, I forgot that's what it was.
Right.
Anyway, enough
I shall
moaning.
say no more about that.
There may be more moaning about other editing techniques later on in the podcast. We'll have to see how Gemma's feeling.
Yeah.
Because she got quite enraged about something the other day.
Oh my god.
Well,
I got so enraged I was following up tweets like, no. I need you to understand.
When was it? It was Tuesday's episode, I think. And you were like engrossed.
I was like, I'm not watching this anymore.
Gemma
I'm
put
busy.
out a tweet saying that she didn't like the way something looked. And a few, like 2 people maybe said, I don't think it's too bad. It got lots of likes, and there was clearly a lot of support for your hatred of that particular thing. But you were like, you couldn't concentrate on the programme because you were so mad that not everybody hated and could clearly, obviously see.
I kept saying, I'm not wrong, am I? That was terrible, wasn't it?
We might as well say it was the scene where Adam fades into Damon in the prison when he's talking to Harvey.
And everyone thought it was talking about the technique of the crossfade, which, is slightly obnoxious in Coronation Street. But, you got to pick your battles, I guess. I'd prefer if they didn't.
I'm not a huge fan of crossfades. I don't so mind much sometimes when like the camera pans to one side and it hits something black and then it comes out with the side of it. And then there's something else. But the dissolve, I don't know what it's called.
So that's just when you'll have one shot and then it dissolves into another shot that appears, right? But because they dissolved instead of cutting it or moving the camera away, poor Sam Robertson, who plays Adam, had to act as something that made no sense because he's saying to Bethany, like, your mum's in danger. Like, he's trying to convince her that this guy that she's romantically linked to has kidnapped him and tried to kill him, okay? And he says this, like, your mum's in danger. And then he just pouts for 2, seconds.
A good 6 or 7 seconds.
And he kind of looks away and kind of looks down and to the side while they're cutting, because they couldn't have her respond because it was the end of the scene. But in real life, she's just sitting there going, okay, well, that's awkward. I'm not responding. Like, she would have said something, or he would have followed it up with something like, do you not believe me? Or what can I do to convince you? You don't just blurt out to somebody, your mum's in danger, and then go,
nothing more to say about that.
Watch it again. I'm sorry. There's no excusing it.
You were like saying to me, this is factually a terribly edited transition.
I was like, it's not a matter of opinion. It's because what they did to Sam Robinson, because that was the choice of that made no sense. That was wrong.
It was, yeah.
He shouldn't have been sitting there with that expression after delivering that line, and Bethany should not have been silent. She would have said something.
I was sitting next to Gemma on the sofa saying, don't worry about it. It's okay.
It's okay.
Some people agree with you. Just watch Coronation Street. And you're like, I can't watch it.
My reality's been shaken. I know I'm not. It just goes to show what a hypocrite I am, because I'm like, it's okay. Everyone's got different opinions, so write in if you think this, or write in if you think that. Blah, blah,
don't
blah.
write in and
don't
tell
me
us
that
if you
that was
really
good.
like that transition.
It's not
because
about the crossfade. It's about the performance that they made him do, and it reminded me of that infamous scene where they cut to the break and they make Gail stand there. So Helen Worth standing there with her engagement ring, like she's doing a 3D horror movie, projecting her fist in through the screen, showing her engagement ring, and they make her hold that so long her hand starts shaking, and it goes on for like 5 to 10 seconds. Yeah. Please look that up because that's also
I think it has an infamous scene.
That's why I said infamous.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. Oh. So, okay, I've got it out of my system.
It may come back again when we actually reach that story, but back to Bethany.
But of course, if you liked it, then that's fine. Everyone's got their own opinion.
Some of the notes here, by the way, might be in the wrong order because I had to have a complete rejig of. I've merged millions of storylines together accidentally. So anyway, Monday, Gemma.
I'm not mad about it anymore. I'm over it now. Okay.
Right, I've dried off the cat anyway.
Okay,
She's
good.
She's just enjoying the hot blanket I've got on my knees now.
On Monday, it looks like Bethany stayed over the dirty minx, and Daniel introduces Bertie to her in like another stunningly bad parenting move.
But he's not interested, is he? Just runs past and goes to his bedroom.
Bethany says she better go and see her mum, but she's got to do some work. Can I use your Wi-Fi? She keeps saying, all you need is Wi-Fi. And then she goes to the Rovers and Daisy's like, we don't have any Wi-Fi. She's like, I don't care. Just here to be nosy and drink orange juice.
And be a bitch to you.
So she looks out the window and she sees Sarah and Adam. They're sort of not fighting, so she's smiling.
Yeah, over the course of, was it Sundays as well, I think? Sarah and Adam were getting closer, weren't they?
Yeah,
looked like maybe a reunion was on the cards, but then something else happened to Adam. It's kind of
in the cabin,
on that.
Daisy tells Jenny about discovering Daniel. She's like, I went around there and there was a girl who answered the door. They'd obviously slept with each other, some blonde girl. And Jenny says...
the girl had a towel around her and the man had his dressing gown open, which, as we know, as we are both also TV characters, that's code for they bonked.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's tantamount to lying in a bed where he's poking out the top of the duvet.
With an L-shaped blanket.
Yeah, and she's got the blanket hold up to her neck.
And then the camera panned to the window and it was open and the curtains blew in the wind. So, anyway, Jenny tells Daisy the sale's gone through and they can move in because that's how it works.
No more questions. The Rovers is basically back in business, even though it wouldn't be at this point, and they haven't.
There's no way they would let you do this. Daniel tells an astonished Ken about his night with Bethany, and Ken's like, I've got my end away a few times like that, my lad. Yeah, good for you, but don't mess things up this time.
Good on you, boy.
Like calling her Sinead. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
He didn't say that exactly, but he heavily implied it.
But what do you think about Daniel and Bethany? Just like the worst idea ever. Surely.
I don't think that they're really well suited.
No.
I thought it was very... I just can't help think about when they were getting together-ish last time. Firstly, when Sinead was about to croak, and then immediately after Sinead croaked. And it just didn't feel right.
Icky.
And he's 5 years older than her, but he comes across, because of the way he is, he's a bit old before his years, isn't he? That he's like... a bit predatory on her.
I think I don't normally really care about age gap stories or
it's
in
barely
real life.
An age gap,
exactly.
though,
That's what I'm getting to. But this just feels like it's just a crevasse, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is. They just don't seem like. She still seems like. If you told me she was, well, how old is she? How old is he?
Well, she's now. Bethany was born in 2000 and he was born in 95 or so. So she's 23 now. If
you told me she was 18, I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, she's inherited her mum's
eternal youth.
Inability to look older. How long has it been since she was in the show? 3-4 years maybe. She definitely appears a bit older. I don't know whether her personality has changed too much. She has got maybe a bit more confident with her standing up to Daisy. But
I love her. I when I heard she was coming back, I wasn't keen. I don't remember really liking her a great deal. She wasn't my favourite character, but so far I'm loving it so much.
Yeah, I can't remember. I mean, you can go back and listen to the podcast, but I'm imagining I was probably not too sad that Bethany was gone. I had liked her character in the past, and I mean, everybody thought that she was amazing during the grooming storyline, and Lucy Fallon deserved all those awards. She did a brilliant job, but I wasn't keen on what they did with her towards the end and having her be a bit just a bit grubby with Daniel when Sinead was barely cold.
I'm sorry.
And also that I still don't necessarily buy her as a writer, and I don't know why that is, but it just came because she wrote an article online about her terrible grooming experience, didn't she? And that was apparently quite good, and now she's the next Gemma. Quick, name her. She's the next Gemma Cox.
Don't say my name. Don't want to know it's me.
But she doesn't come across as somebody. She's clearly. You don't have to be well educated to be a great writer, but I don't know. I don't necessarily buy it. And the fact that she then went off to London and be the next best.
It's just.
I'm just
going to say it is incredibly difficult to make a living writing, and she makes it seem like.
She just walked into it, didn't she?
She walked into it, and now she's doing. You know, you wouldn't be so relaxed, I don't think, unless you're very, very lucky. You wouldn't be like, oh right, whatever I like. No, you'd be there. People would be screaming down the phone, going, "Oh my God, Taylor Swift's been seen at a American football game. You got to write an article about it. Oh, you got to write an article about Kanye and his wife. You'd just be writing crap all the time about whatever was just coming, or you'd be checking AI."
I wonder whether Bethany's discovered ChatGPT yet. I wonder whether she's
That's
GPT-4 subscriber.
She's probably just hooked herself up to ChatGPT and she's got like a gang of writers somewhere that's churning it out.
Well, I mean, all I'm saying is, if she can become an amazing top London writer after doing one fairly decent piece, then I think that Alia should be there for her witness statement. Brian should be there for the one he did with Abby. It takes a bit more than that, doesn't it? But we will suspend our disbelief and say, yes, Bethany Platt is amazing.
Well, there's
writer.
definitely people that have got this,
It's probably very kind of sexist and ageist and all
I'm
that to me.
Saying
a young, beautiful blonde girl could write intelligent words, could she?
No, wait a minute. I'm saying all this, and this is actually kind of what happened to me.
This is actually exactly what happened to you, isn't it?
But I was like the youngest editor ever in the country.
She was the youngest magazine editor
and I
in the
could
whole
write
country.
from anywhere as long as there's Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what am I talking about? It's completely achievable dream.
Yeah, but you had to plug in your wire back when you started.
I did. I'd have to do it now because the Wi-Fi on my computer's broke.
You're my Bethany. And I'm your Daniel.
Yes.
Except my school doesn't give me my birthday off like his seemed to. He's never at work. Literally. But interestingly, he didn't go on strike when we were all off work last year. So he runs on a different time stream as the rest of us.
Anyway, Daniel.
So that's it. Bethany then goes to see Sarah, pretending to be somebody checking the electricity meter, doesn't she? Why Sarah would think that somebody would be there on New Year's Day to check the electricity.
And also,
I don't know.
I'm all for equality, but I have never, ever, ever had a woman come to check the meter for anything. Have you?
No.
Never. I think we should get more women checking meters and going into strange people's houses. I'm sure that would be no problem at all. They go around to number 8 and they have a bit of family bants with all the gang. And Bethany's saying, I might have to stay here for a few weeks because I'm a top writer and I'm working from home. I think the consensus here is that she's got some kind of story brewing, but what dramatic thing is she going to be writing about in a magazine that happened on the street last year? Could be anything.
There was a scene later where she gets phoned up, isn't it? So maybe it comes into
but like what is it though? Because there are so many things she could write about. I would never leave.
I think it's about the that company that refused to leave the take the scaffolding down.
Maybe she's talking about Bent Builders. Maybe she's working for Inside Soap magazine.
Yeah, maybe.
So
if she comes up as best character of the year next year, then we'll know.
Daisy comes out of the pub and she sees the Platts walking along. She's like, look, that's that strumpet who slept with Bethany.
Daniel, what a strumpet, sleeping with Bethany.
So Jenny shouts out, what, Daniel slept with Bethany last night? And everybody kind of like record scratches. On cue, Daniel walks out of the house and they're all staring at each other. Daisy's not happy. Daniel's fuming because she's judging Bethany after what Daisy's done with Ryan. I think that David does that hilarious drive.
That was the bit, wasn't it, where the Platts just walk off and David is there. He does a few good expressions on that episode. Wasn't it when he's in the bistro, or was it Speed Dial? I can't remember later that episode, and he does a few good ones. I did appreciate that awfully.
Yes.
Continue.
Thank you, Michael.
You're all right.
So, so Daisy's not happy, and they're mad at each other, and the Platts carry on arguing all the way to speed dial. Sarah and Gail like, I can't believe what you've been up to. You put the cat among the pigeons. And Bethany's like, well, Ian McLeod said I would, so I had to. Do you get the joke?
Yes.
Bethany says,
So I wasn't.
you're one to talk because you've been shagging Damon. Makes me wonder if she's here for the drug storyline or the serial killing storyline, or
It could be
what
all
else
sorts.
is there? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know whether Bethany, and people can change, but is she the sort of person, and indeed is Daniel the sort of person who would jump into bed with somebody that they've not seen for years? I mean, Daniel's, I guess, kind of smarting and still on the rebound, and he's young, free and single, and maybe wanting to show, not letting Daisy drag me down anymore.
Well, they
But
are.
maybe it's just my prudishness coming in again.
That's just how
But the
people are.
whole idea of they see each other, and within minutes they're bonking away.
Well, that's what happened.
That's what happened. That's what young people do these days.
That's fine. Don't be so judgmental.
I will.
Jenny and Daisy, it's not like they edited an episode of Coronation Street poorly.
Yeah, it's not as bad as that.
Jenny and Daisy are in the back room of the Rovers, and Jenny's like, you need to decide what you're going to do. Help Daniel, go and salvage your relationship with Daniel, or help me put the crockery away. Just stop wallowing. Daniel's speaking to Ken again, going, oh, you know what, this has made me realise I don't want to go back to Daisy. I'm fed up with her. And then he gets a text from Bethany asking if he wants a drink. So they meet up in the street.
Oh yeah, I can't remember what, wasn't Bethany and Sarah going to have the evening together, and because Bethany goes off with Daniel, Sarah's left to doing a spa evening with Gail.
No.
Was that right?
Well, yes. Bethany's like, oh no, Sarah says, oh, we can have a mother-daughter spa night, and Bethany's like, oh, I can't, I've got to go. And then Gail's like, we can still have a mother-daughter spa night.
Oh yeah.
I'll get my pumice stone. So that's fun.
So Sarah is pumicing Gail's feet into the wee hours.
Daisy sees Daniel on the street. She wants to apologise, but her nose is put out of joint when Bethany turns up, and he's like, mind your own business.
Yeah, he lets her into the flat. She kind of just strolls past Daisy.
And then Daisy kind of walks off like,
in.
I'm done with this man. Up in the flat, Bethany and Daniel share a glass of wine, and she's like, go get me a kebab. And then she phones someone up and says, I withheld my number. I know I messed up, but you've got to give me a second chance. And gets a
So this is the mysterious phone call that you were alluding
what we
to
know
earlier.
Is that this person's blocked her number, and she's trying to win them back. Now, to me, this feels like a lover, or...
Yeah, some people have said, has she been sacked from the newspaper magazine publication
this is
that
not
she's working
how,
for?
I mean, this is perfectly possible this is what this is, because Coronation Street has been known to bend reality for the drama. But in real life, if you're fired, you don't keep phoning someone up, and they don't block your number and then put the phone down on you.
No.
Like, you don't, that's not how it works.
No, people are kind of speculating that is she just going secret undercover, and is she trying to investigate Stephen, or... But this phone call doesn't necessarily tie into that.
So, yeah, because Daniel, I'm trying to think...
She's trying to badger somebody who doesn't want to talk to her.
So, I'm trying to think, like, she's got a boyfriend, but she's... Or does she? Or they've split up. But she's got to target Daniel for some reason, which is why she slept with him. But that doesn't make sense, because what's Daniel doing that's worth writing a magazine article about?
Yeah,
really.
I've unfortunately just got no theories or great ideas that nobody's thought of yet.
I mean, the other thing, drugs, serial killing, acid attack, but then you wouldn't immediately alienate the main victim of the acid attack if you were going to write a story about it.
No.
She would be out to befriend Daisy, and also she didn't seem to know who she was.
No, exactly.
So she's not done any research.
Be to do with that.
I know, but Michael, it might still be, and this is all just misdirection. But if it is, it's a really poor way of telling a story.
There's been a couple more episodes this week, and this mystery hasn't been alluded to at all, has it?
But
it's
this
just
is
been
what
left
Corrie
to
does.
ruminate in our minds.
The mistake that Corrie makes sometimes is that they drag it out for far too long, and by the time it gets revealed, we've all guessed what it is.
I'm not guessing this one yet. But I do appreciate the fact that they've put something out there, something mysterious. But yeah, I hope it's not too long before they reveal it, because it's potentially not going to be as exciting as we're thinking it might be. No.
On Tuesday, Daisy's trying to take her mind off everything by coming up with ideas for the pub, but Jenny's in a rush and she's just patronising her. I mean, not really. She's not taking it seriously. You can see where this is going already, can't you? They're gonna clash because Jenny's got, she's got all this experience and she doesn't take Daisy seriously. Daisy's going to be coming up with ideas that don't necessarily work out, but she's going to be saying to Jenny that she's wrong, and if she had been so great at business, then they wouldn't have been in this situation in the first place.
That is
true. They've both kind of got a point, haven't they?
Yeah, and it is nice to see the Rovers back, but apart from a few new soft furnishings and a rail round the bar, it feels like they're just back in the same situation as they were before. And they're talking about, how are we going to make this work? But I don't know. If this had been a proper soft reset for the pub and they'd gone back with this amazing new plan and it brought all the punters in and suddenly the Rovers was filled with main characters and some extras again, then great. But
you seem to think the Rovers story is over, but I think it's just beginning.
I think there is still plenty to do, because even though we saw it relatively bustling on New Year's Eve, since then, it's been pretty much the same as it had been, hasn't it?
Jenny's got her head in the sand about the problems that they're facing.
Yeah, and she's just happy to be back to her comfort place.
Not got the experience to know how to save the situation. So I think I've got a lot of high hopes for this, to be honest.
Some might say that they weren't the most suitable people for buying the pub. Were it not for the fact that they're two great characters and we want them there. But it just feels like they maybe need someone with a bit more business nous and experience coming in and saying, this is what you do. Like,
where's this going? I mean, we know that there's
McDonald to return to the cobbles to put Jenny straight. I don't think that's going to go down well.
There's trouble ahead because they've stolen this money.
Yeah, that's kind of not been mentioned since, has it? But that's surely it's not the end of it, is it?
No.
Daisy, they're just going to have the mother of all fallouts at some point, surely. It wouldn't surprise me, to be honest, if Bethany finds out somehow about the fact that they're using the money that her dead uncle stole to buy the pub, and then she's now got a secret over Daisy, which, her mortal enemy. Perfect.
She'll probably get it out of Jenny by shagging her the way she's going. Sleep with everybody on the street, get all the secrets. So Bethany comes into the pub and she and Daisy have a bitch fest to each other.
That was just like the highlight of Tuesday's episode.
I just thought,
really.
I was kind of really thrilled with Bethany. I didn't expect much from her coming back. I love Daisy anyway, but I don't mind Bethany antagonising her, and they're both really bitchy. I hope this carries on.
Do you think we're supposed to be on a particular side?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, who is in the wrong here? Or are they both as bad as each other?
Well, I've seen people say, it's about time Daisy got her, taken down a peg or two.
Which is true.
Yeah, true. Bethany is definitely being super obnoxious and morally not, If somebody said to me, you slept with my boyfriend, right, we just broke up 2 weeks ago, I'd feel bad about myself. I'd be like, oh no, I've made a bit of a mistake here. What a faux pas.
I just hope so too, because you're married to me. Sorry.
Not in my dreams. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But she's like, oh well, early bird catches the worm, I guess. If the worm is Daniel's penis.
Yeah, they're... disgusting. Just a worm. Many people would say that Bethany has really done nothing wrong at the moment, and Daisy's
hasn't done anything
mega
wrong,
jealous.
But you have a bit of a. You might feel that you've broken the girl code. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. But I can't help but be on Team Daisy, even though I absolutely recognise that she's being a little bit...
Of a cow.
A little bit of a cow about it, a little bit of a sore loser that she's not with Daniel anymore. I kind of want her to get one over Bethany, but it's fairly even pegging, which in a way makes it
it's
quite
fun.
good.
Yeah. So
I can see where they're both coming from.
Yeah, this is why it's good. Bethany's negging the pub. Oh, no wonder it's dead if you're in charge. And she sits down to do her work. Damon comes in. Is this part of this story? Well, Damon comes in and says, Ed, I've got a job for you.
Remember that for the next story.
I'm gonna get my money off the Rovers, the bistro. This will all make sense to you later. And Bethany overhears him, and she realises this is Damon, and she's mad because she thinks he's a homewrecker.
Yes, that really isn't this part of this storyline.
Bethany sees Todd in the pub and says hello, and he introduces her to George, and then she gives bitchy looks to Daisy. Yeah,
that was quite. I'm kind of glad that the Bethany and Todd reintroduction happened because Todd has been kind of on the fringes of
kind of her stepdad.
Well, Todd brought Bethany up for a while, didn't he?
I know, but they just look like they could just be the same age. You know, I know that there's a bit of an age gap, but she dated Tim. I wouldn't. You know,
if Bethany dated Todd.
She's not going to. But you know what I mean? Because of the characters' ages. That's what I'm saying. Not because of their relationship. Do you get what I'm saying? No or not?
Yeah, I guess so. But he's still a good 17, 18 years older than her.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, it was worth. I'm kind of glad that they did that. It's nice just to remind us, remind themselves maybe that there are links between these characters, and that's kind of a natural thing to happen.
I know that Todd and Bethany are like father and daughter. I know that.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to make that point.
We're just saying that Gareth Peirce is sickeningly youthful looking.
When it comes to Daniel and who he should end up with, he very much puts me in mind of a budgie with a mirror. I think if you gave him a mirror, he would just peck at it and love it, and that would be enough.
Open his dressing gown up.
Go forward. Look at these. Okay. Jenny comes back to the pub later, and Daisy has been giving away pints with the hot pots, even though she was told not to. And
it's not gone so well for her.
It was a stupid move, because she didn't sell any more hot pots than she would have done, because the people that got the free pints were going to have a hot pot anyway.
Yeah.
And then Bethany comes over. She's like, oh, did that not meet your boss's approval? Because Daisy said that she was the boss, and now she's getting dressing down. And Jenny says, oh, it's just down to lack of experience. But Daisy does not appreciate that.
No.
They all fake smile at each other, and Bethany leaves. Just like, how thrilled would you be if you were Bethany at this point?
I know.
Be like, this is just brilliant. Everything's going my way at last. On Wednesday, Daniel's still walking around with his dressing gown open. Some say he hasn't worn proper clothes since Bethany arrived. And Bethany's trailing behind him, going, oh, isn't it lovely? Isn't it wonderful? I'm going to look at flats today, and it's Daniel's birthday as well today.
Oh, yeah, she's decided that she maybe will stay here for a little bit longer. I think that she is here for a little while. I'm not sure completely, but you don't get Lucy Fallon back and then just have her in for a little bit. So I think this is a fairly long-term return.
Well, she's talking about flats, you know, so...
Yeah.
Daniel and Ken are in the bistro because it's his birthday, and Daniel's talking to him about how great things are with Bethany. It's totally not a bad omen or idea to start another long-term relationship 2 weeks after you've broken up with your fiancé that you were going to try to get to adopt your child.
Yeah.
Just move on. In the flat, Daniel opens up to Bethany about his history with Daisy, including the acid attack, which Bethany doesn't seem to know about, or is she pretending? She starts to ask a bit more, but he interrupts her, and then he goes to the pub, tries to be civil with Daisy, and she's like, okay, well, I can be civil if you can, but she doesn't look happy about it.
Would it make sense if Bethany is the outside world prison girlfriend of Jason Rutherford?
Oh no, that's weird.
Did that work?
No, surely she's not that silly.
Well, she might be, but probably not.
No, she's the world's greatest writer.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've done it now.
Well done. That was a really
I feel drained.
Vivacious synopsis bit of reading there you were doing there, Gemma. So you're pleased that Bethany's back. pleasantly surprised?
I'm pleasantly surprised. She definitely did put the cat among the pigeons, which is normally choreo producer speak for annoys all the viewers. But this time I was just enjoying it. I think it was funny. She's quite... Yeah. She just looks like she's in a different age category to everyone else, because is she like the same age as Daisy?
I think Daisy's ever so slightly older, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't think Daisy would ever admit that. What did you think of the New Look Rovers? The slightly New Look Rovers?
I wouldn't have noticed.
No, I think it
It's
makes sense.
It's got a little tiny sofa.
Yeah, it makes sense in the show because
machine.
nobody came in and was doing massive renovations, were there?
No.
Yeah, had the fruit machine been in there, or was I just kind of remembering that there
was a fruit machine, but when it left, I don't know. But it's not there now.
Maybe it's a good job for Ed, really, isn't it? It won't have temptation in it as well. I the soft furnishings are nice. I think I think Ina, Martha and Minnie might have approved. They're nice, soft on their bums.
Last time Jenny said that she was going to change it, she didn't.
Oh yeah. This was I think it's fine. It's like it didn't need the way that the Rovers looks at the moment. I'm perfectly happy with it. I'm not feeling it's in need of a massive overhaul.
Pubs do not look any different now.
No. What else? Shona's best Willy Wonka being Johnny Depp.
Because she wants to shag him.
What the heck?
Don't get involved with Johnny Depp, Shona. I can only tell you that it leads to dark places.
What's the new guy that's playing Willy Wonka?
Timothée Chalamet.
We haven't seen the new film. Has anyone seen it? Is it any good? I saw the trailer back in the summer or whenever it was. I think we watched it separately, and you were like, "Oh, that looks quite good." And this is totally not the sort of film that you would say, "Oh, that looks quite good" about. So I was really surprised that you look at it, and I watched the trailer and I was like, "This is pants." They're making another backstory up for Willy Wonka.
I don't think you know what I like. Why do you think I wouldn't like it? Because you didn't like it. That's
it was too whimsical.
I like whimsical things. I believe in ghosts.
There will be if you go and see Wonka. There is a ghost in it. I mean, Jeff Metcalf is doing something in that film.
Is he the ghost of Christmas
I'm surprised Shona didn't notice, to be honest.
Right.
But honestly, Johnny Depp is the best Willy Wonka. No,
because
no,
Shona,
not while Gene
here's
Wilder
my thing.
exists.
Yeah, but he's dead.
So
here's my thing. Okay, are you talking about Johnny Depp the actor, or are you talking about the character?
His portrayal of Willy Wonka was weird.
Exactly. I wouldn't want him coming at me with those teeth.
True. When I picture Willy Wonka, honestly, who I think of, and we're completely off topic,
I know, what are we talking
is the
about
Quentin Blake illustration. None of the actors who have played him really lived up to that version of Willy Wonka.
Of the Quentin Blake illustration of Willy Wonka, I think of Abraham Lincoln.
He is a bit abish, isn't
and
it?
I wouldn't sleep with Abraham Lincoln either.
Why do you think it's to do with that? Okay. Oh, other little thing that was just about related to this story, because Daisy was talking to Steve and asking him which one of his ex-wives does he miss the most? I can't remember what the question was.
Yeah.
Karen.
Yeah.
What a revelation.
They're trying to get her back. They're trying to woo her back.
They're trying to get Saran Jones to say, "Oh, look at this."
Right, Catherine Kelly won't come back. We asked her.
Well, I mean, people have talked about who could Corrie get back? Which of their big leading ladies would make a big splash, like some other soaps have done recently. And
they could never get Sarah Lancashire back.
This is the thing. Sarah,
she couldn't be Raquel again.
I don't think she could.
Because Raquel doesn't... Raquel didn't really exist, did she? Raquel was like a mirage that was created by the woman herself to hide her light under a bushel almost, because she turned out to be like a bilingual French
She had
housewife.
it in her all along. I don't think they'd get Saran Jones back. I don't think Catherine Kelly would come back. So I don't know whether there's many really, really big name ex-Corrie ladies who could come in and make a huge splash. Unfortunately, I'd quite like to see Shelley back. I think that she would be perfect back in. I think that Sally Lindsay would slot right back in.
She's got her Madame LeBlanc.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter.
I know, but what I'm thinking of, because I've watched this Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, or which other way around it is.
That got Gemma mad if you saw her tweet the other day.
It's just like infuriating. I knew it would be.
Flipping infuriating,
They kept crossfading. No, that's a joke. And Catherine Kelly's in that, but she's got like a bit part in it. And I'm so fed up with them using Catherine Kelly and things and basically every single time I see her in something, it's some kind of ITV gritty drama and maybe police procedural where she's stuck in an office, walking around with a clipboard or looking at a computer, like being somebody's assistant or something. Like, let's get her in the main person in something, please.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether there's... I haven't given it a huge amount of thought. But
nobody's...
What made us think about this? Oh, Steve misses Karen the most. I'd like to see Karen back. But my favourite of Steve's ex-wives is obviously Becky.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think we've done enough.
Hey, I remember you.
Hey,
Damon Hay is back. Bethany has been one-upped by the Hay brothers. And this is what we're going to move on to now. And yeah, massive dramas for Adam and you. They're seeming to... maybe it's an Ian McLeod thing, but the 1st of January episodes, or thereabouts, something big and dramatic seems to happen every year. Because was it the first episode of 2023 that Nina fell in a lake? If it wasn't the first, it was within the first few.
Didn't Ollie blow up a van?
That was slightly later. And then the year before that was when they had Faye and Emma and their crushed biscuits debacle. You know? Yeah? Yes. You should say, oh yes, Michael, you've got very good memory.
Yes, you've got a great memory.
But they didn't need to start 2024 off with a bang quite like this.
No, don't do this. This was silly.
It was very silly. But, well. So anyway, it still started off on Sunday, on New Year's Eve, where Adam goes round to Sarah. These two characters have barely had anything to do with each other since their split back in the summertime. And she's all dressed up to the nines for New Year's Eve. And he's like, oh, hello there, you sexy lady. Oh, that's what he's thinking anyway. And Sarah basically leads him to believe that she's going on a date. And I think he kind of leads her to believe the same thing as well. She's actually going to meet with Carla and he's supposed to be meeting up with Daniel. Now, they were supposed to be going together tonight, but now Daniel can't for whatever reason. He's obviously got some kind of premonition of Bethany coming back. So Adam has a bit of a moan about being all alone on New Year's Eve, just as Sarah happens to walk in and overhears it. So pretty much the two of them spend New Year's Eve together, and this reunion that nobody saw coming because there's been no build up to it gets very close to happening. But then someone else shows up later on that on the next episode that puts a kibosh on that. Yeah, they just have a lovely evening together, really. And he did, didn't he? He had a panic attack because I'd forgotten that he'd been having those. So she gives him a reassuring hug, and it's all a bit awkward because obviously they used to be married, and now then have they got a divorce yet? I don't know. I can't remember. I don't think they did. Okay.
There's no point getting a divorce on Coronation Street until you're ready to marry the next person. Then you can have dramatic scenes about, I want a divorce. And then I go, no, I'm not going to let you marry them.
Monday's episode then, this is where it really kicked off, and starts off where all good kicking off things do, in the cafe. And Daniel is saying, Adam, how's things going on with you and Sarah then? It seems like you were getting on well last night. And he said, we had a nice evening together. But I did have a panic attack when I was with her. And Daniel's like, look, you just need to have a new start for the new year. Go and see a doctor. Get yourself sorted. You've had all this time without any storylines. What have you been doing? You could have been seeing the doctor all that time.
If you get there now. Stressed out, you should take up drinking or smoking or both.
Yeah, well, Adam did smoke. Do you remember when Sam Robinson came back into the show and it was like he went into the factory and lit a big cigar and saying, hey, I'm just like my dad, Mike Baldwin. So he's had one cigar in his life. So yeah, maybe that's his New Year's resolution. He goes into the pub with Sarah later and she gives him a bit of a public service announcement about the NHS online app, doesn't she? She's like, oh, look, it's so easy. Just say you've got panic attacks. And he's like, oh, she's being really nice to me. There's some things happening here. Because they broke up when he found out that the baby was Damon's, didn't they? With the big balloon appearing at the gender reveal party. So I think he must have been the one that did the dumping. My memory's shocking at the moment. But it's clear that, as is often the case in these circumstances, he's having a bit of a breakup regret, and maybe he wouldn't be so against getting back together with them again.
Well, he's the one that was adamant that they shouldn't be back together, wasn't he?
Yeah, but you know, things are progressing a little bit differently now. He's realised that without Sarah, he's not in any stories, so let's get him in there. But sadly for him, they're being watched by mysterious spy cam from outside the medical centre. It's Damon.
What?
Damon Hay. So, immediate reactions, Gemma. You said that you were pleasantly surprised by Bethany's comeback. How are you feeling about Mr. Hay?
Drugs man.
Yes?
Don't need drugs men on the show. I've had a drug story, but don't want another one.
I remember when he went off last year, and I was thinking, oh, he's only off for a little bit. He'll be back in a few weeks. And then he just didn't. And then I found out that Kieran Griffiths, is it, that plays him? He lives in Australia most of the time, doesn't he? And we found out, he's back in Australia again. So I thought, oh, okay, maybe that's it for Damon. A bit of a quick exit, but oh well. I wasn't a massive fan of him anyway. And then when I found out that he was coming back, I just felt just a bit deflated by it.
I'm sure I've said this before, but when I was in primary school, one of my classmates, I think, convinced me that they lived in Australia and came on the plane every day.
That's cool.
And I was like, I don't know that that's true, but why would you lie?
I mean, we can presume because he does live on the Earth's bottom that he's not going to be in it for a good time. It just feels a bit. That story was over. It was a bit grubby and grimy when it happened. I'm yet to see the benefit of bringing him back, and I know lots of people really like him, and Will Miller as well. While we're on the subject, I don't need Harvey back.
Miller.
Yeah. Don't need him in the show, but lots of people are saying, "Oh yeah, Will Miller's great. He's great eye candy."
Yeah, but both of these characters, both of these people are good actors. I like them both, but
they're playing types of characters that I don't enjoy.
Yeah, because it's like in The Bill. It's like they're not the main they're not the policeman. So what are they doing in the show? Like, go away! You're just coming and meddling. You're not real characters.
No, I saw some discussion online recently about people saying, why do Corrie keep bringing in new characters for a story? There's plenty of other characters. Let them have their own dramas between each other. You don't need another character to come and spark things off.
Yeah, it's like you don't need to start every story with Once Upon a Time.
Mm.
You don't need to start every Corrie story with, oh, look, who's back?
Or just, who's this new person? It doesn't always need it.
It doesn't need it at all because you've already got a cast of like ridiculously.
We've literally in the last fortnight we've lost. Okay, let's stretch it out to maybe the last month. We've lost Ryan, who we know is going to come back. We've lost Peter.
Yeah.
And we've gained Bobby, Damon, Harvey, and Bethany. It's like they can't stop themselves.
Yeah. This is what happens when I'm like, oh, I did a really good job. I didn't spend any money. Let's celebrate. What can I buy?
Yeah, basically it is.
That's what Ian McLeod is like.
You're right. It boggles the mind. And to think that we've got all four of those characters now in the street where, a month ago none of them were there, or a week ago none of them were there almost. I don't know. Maybe there's going to be something that happens in this story that makes it all worthwhile, but at the moment, I'm not hopeful.
Well, again, it started. This is the problem. It started the year off on a poor foot for me because two things that I want from Corrie is to cut the cast down so that people can have more stories. Honestly, if we had the time and the whatever, I wouldn't care that there were that many people. It's just that people don't get a go.
Yeah.
That annoys me, and the lack of consequences. And they start the year off with a new character coming in and kidnapping somebody, holding them at gunpoint, and then just.
It feels like they've started the new year and say, hey, here's some teasers for the new hot stories of 2024. We've got Tracy sniffing around Tommy Orpington, another return. I didn't even mention him. So that's five returns in the past fortnight. We've got Damon and Harvey back to cause mischief and dark troubles for the Platts. Not so fussed about that. We got
Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby coming back for or coming into the programme for no particular reason. What they're teasing so far at this stage in the year for 2024 isn't setting my world on fire. Snow. I just kind of want to watch lots and lots of the Paul storyline, and I got that on Wednesday, but
well,
I'm sure that when we get to March, there'll be other things that happen. There's always something completely unexpected that surprises us in the springtime that you'd never have seen coming, and whatever it is, I hope that's going to be good. But anyway, so Damon's here. And he sets right to trouble by getting some goons to bundle Adam into a van while he's while he's leaving a voice message for Sarah about, "Oh, I love you, I think you're a good idiot." So he's in the van with a bag over his head, messing up his hair even more than it usually is, no doubt. And he's being taken over to the teenage wasteland.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, the very same spot where Toya and Spider were held at gunpoint not long ago. The very same spot where...
It's not even been 12 months.
No. That's clearly the place to go.
That's my problem with it. And it's not even been a month since the last person was held hostage. It was Evelyn. Yeah, she was slightly lower stakes for Evelyn. At least if they had a random plot generator, it wouldn't come up with so many things that were the same, so close to each other, statistically speaking. It was also the place where Amy and Ardy took old drugged up Spiker, wasn't it, a couple of months ago? That's clearly the place to go to dump your victims, dump your corpses here, yeah. But that's why Stephen Reed is just so unique, because he chooses a different dumping ground. Well, he knew he was smart. He knew that if he went there, there'd be a queue. If I was Craig, I'd be on permanent stake out there. No. I'll say if I was Craig's boss, I would send Craig on a permanent stake out there. Just go and sit by the teenage wasteland again, wait Craig. For a crime. This week is going to be when a crime's going to happen now, I swear. Just take your pack of donuts with you. Anyway, so Adam's in mortal peril, with a bag over his head, and getting a gun pointed at him, and it's all very dramatic. And I've lost my place in the notes, which is why I'm kind of filling time here. Damon's checking with Heavy Number 1 that the kidnapping all went well, and he's like, yeah, it's all fine, but maybe we should let Adam sweat for a while, says Damon, and he seems to have an idea about what he wants to do now and how keeping him alive might be beneficial. This is why I get nervous if I need the loo. If I need the loo too much, I just get nervous, because at any moment you could get in a lift and get stuck, or you could be kidnapped and need the loo. So you should always go when you need to go. Well, we saw from Paul's storyline that doesn't always turn out very pleasantly. No, exactly. I don't want that to happen to me. Don't want Billy dragging you down the hallway. I don't want to be stuck in a van puddle. Like Toya, weeing myself overnight. You're convinced. You seem to bring that up almost every episode. It's my favourite fact. The fact that that's something that didn't happen happened in your brain. She definitely would have done. Okay, so Sarah is back at home. And Damon kind of jumps out at Sarah in Victoria Street first, saying, "I want to talk to you." Sarah's like, sexy. "No, what are you doing back here? Don't want anything to do with you. Sod off." So he starts buzzing incessantly at her door of her flat, and she agrees to let him up. Slightly different to last year when he was like, "Oh, Sarah, I want you to get in your pants," and she's like, "Oh no, oh Damon, I couldn't possibly." This time, at least, she did for a very small amount of time, look like she didn't genuinely want him to drop off the side of the earth. Now she's free and single. She's like, no. Sarah's a flat earther. Yes. Yeah, she exactly. But it doesn't take long, does it? She's like, no, this wouldn't cause drama, no. So he says, look, I heard that you and Adam were over, and she says, yeah, because I miscarried your baby. And he's like, what? I had a baby? I didn't know you were pregnant. And throughout a lot of this, I was still left thinking, has Damon changed? Because he's insisting he has, isn't he? And even when he later lets Adam go because he gets his old heartstrings plugged, he's saying, oh, I don't want to be like that anymore. He was saying that last year. I just don't believe him. He looks too much like a gangster. Oh, it's because of his shearling collar. He's in the leather shearling coat club. Yeah. Do you think he's going to join them? Maybe. I just... Isn't it funny that I don't want him to turn good. I want to be right about him. Everyone on the street that wears the outfit is either like a 40-year-old man or a bunch of teenage girls. Yeah. They all wear the same outfits.
Well, Kieran Griffiths isn't the tallest of chaps, is he? He's a shorty like me. So maybe
put a wig on, join the gals.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good way to stake out Sarah yourself, on the sly. Yeah. Okay, so he gets the whole story explained to him, and she says, "Oh, I tried to pretend it was Adam's baby." He's like, is Adam the reason that you lost the baby? And she's like, no. Look, it's just the way things went. Anyway, he's not been able to stop thinking about her and wants things to go back to the way that they were. I love you, Sarah, says Damon. She's like, no, not interested. Off you go, on your way, laddie. And outside, he's now been spurned by lovely Sarah and says, right, I'm going to kill Adam myself. So Adam is there sitting on he's outside the van at this point, isn't he? The heavies have been like, oh, he was having some sort of panic attack, so I've set him outside to get some... What do you expect? You've got a guy holed up in your van with a bag over his head, listening into people say, I'm going to blow him away. I think it's perfect. You're perfectly entitled to have a panic attack. And it makes me think that maybe this is the first time that these heavies have ever had a hostage at gunpoint. Seems just fairly standard and expected behaviour.
It was kind of comical. I don't think they meant it. I don't know why they put that in, because it's like, they're like, listen here, Damon. I'm all for like mutilating people and like breaking arms or like killing people, whatever, but mental health, I take it seriously.
Yeah. I've been watching all the adverts on TV.
I'm not going to be responsible for another man having depression. We've got to sort this out.
And Damon, did you know that gambling is a disease?
It's a disease.
I learned all about that.
It's all right anyway, Adam. I've signed you up for the NHS.
Don't you just hate these woke heavies?
They're woke heavies. Like, listen, I've done the speak and save. He's all right now. I gave him a pep talk.
Sitting on side, he's got a bit of fresh air. Now let's pull that trigger and get back home.
I told him he's got beautiful hair.
Let's get back home for a vegan lasagna. But Damon, he's there with a gun and he's holding it at Adam's head and his hands are shaking away. I was almost thinking, is he actually... No, I mean, I don't love Adam as a character. If he disappeared off the face of the earth or said, like, I'm leaving, I wouldn't be sad about that. He doesn't seem to serve a mega purpose on the street, to be honest.
Nobody can, because they don't have any time.
No, well, quite. But I was almost thinking, have they done it? Have they left the biggest surprise of the lot, and that Adam is going to get killed on New Year's Day and join the illustrious ranks of Alf Roberts and Lewis Archer, of other 1st of January victims?
I really didn't.
Could they do it?
No.
Just for a split second in me.
I'm glad that you had that moment.
I did. And it wasn't... I even though he didn't do it, I wasn't too sad. But because Adam starts saying, oh, just before you do, I just want to say, tell Harry that I love him. And Sarah, I'm so sorry for everything I've done, etc., etc. And Damon...
And I just also want to say, you guys, I know you're doing this for a reason, and I don't want you to get PTSD because I take mental health seriously too. I'm more worried about how it's going to affect you psychologically if you kill me, to be honest. And the heavies are like, he's got a point, you know.
And also, there's also another character in my extended family called Sam, and if you go to prison for killing me, he'll come and find you in the prison and want to know why you've done it. It's really not worth it.
You have to really know why you're doing this.
And Damon's like, I'm not down for this. No, I can't be. Let him go. Can't be bothered with this.
But I want to just say, on the record, on behalf of the podcast, we take mental health very seriously here.
We take everything seriously.
We take absolutely everything seriously.
But it doesn't stop us from making fun of it sometimes, because it's kind of entertaining. But don't write in and say that we don't care about it, because
I don't care.
Okay, so Adam's let go, and first stop, police station, to report his kidnapping. The desk sergeant there is just
he was great.
Wide-eyed, like,
he's like, what? I haven't got a line, so I'm going to use my eyes.
To show the surprise that somebody has been kidnapped and had a bag put on their head on New Year's Day. He's like, I was expecting to just deal with the drunks today. I didn't expect a meaty kidnapping.
Did anybody vom on your trainers, though? That's my question.
So he's done that. Adam goes back home and sees Damon in the street. Happens to be there, of course. Obviously not happy to see him. And he's like, what are you doing back? You're the one that kidnapped me. And Damon's like, well, good luck proving it.
This is just broken Britain all over, isn't it? Like, you can kidnap anybody you want. You can send postmasters to jail because no one can prove it. Is that how crimes really work? No, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense because there would have been CCTV footage of Adam being kidnapped because he was on the phone. He's like, do 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 do, whoop, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And then those people will be associates of Damon's.
I don't mind about that.
But what even happens in the end?
With what?
Nothing happens though. He does get away with it.
Yeah, basically, he might still not. I just think that there's only so much that you can expect people to invest in the excitement of kidnapping and hostage taking when it happens all the time.
Yes, that's my point. There's no consequences either. If it happened all the time,
it was a minute of drama,
and people were like killed or serious. I mean, no, nothing ever happens. You can kidnap anybody on this show and get away with it.
I get how it's like, potential bait for soap mag covers. Oh, Adam held hostage at gunpoint. Wow, come and watch us. But
yeah, but the thing is though, if you were to look at the covers of the soap mags and all these like rhetorical questions or whatever, or exclamations like gunpoint horror or like
Bethany's secret,
like you just go didn't matter.
Adam in open dressing gown love romp.
Daniel.
Daniel, sorry, yeah.
No consequence. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
That happened, but it's crap.
Yeah, I know.
Stop making things like
raising
go
the
to
stakes
11. That was a joke for a reason.
Yeah. Okay, so Tuesday then, halfway through this, Adam spots Damon going to the bistro and calls the police to say, I've just seen Damon going to the bistro, go and arrest him. So Damon, the purpose of this little jaunt is that he wants his money back that he invested in the bistro last year. And Leanne and Nick aren't particularly keen. They just basically don't want anything to do with him. But anyway, before they can get too far into this, in comes Craigie for a word with him. And Damon's like, well, it's all right because I've got an alibi for you. And Craig's like, well, I will follow it up then. Off you go. So his alibi was that he was with Sarah, which he was for a bit of it because he was coming back and forth between her. Craig doesn't bother too hard to check the exact timings of when he was together. The fact that both of them said, yes, we spent a period of time yesterday in each other's company seems to be enough for him. So, probably not going to be going back to CID.
It doesn't make any sense that there was an alibi because he was held there for a long time and he knew that there was more than one person. So why was Craig like, oh yeah, it wasn't him because he was somewhere for one period of time.
I know. But
no, it can't. We can't just that can't be it.
It is. That is it. Anyway, Damon seems to be managing to convince Leanne he's a bit innocent of this. Toya is in the background looking very sceptical. Toya's job at the moment just seems to be serving food. She's just like a trumped up waitress at the moment, isn't she? She's so very much in the position of show writers have clearly got nothing that they want to do with her, but they've got to do something with her. It's such a shame what's going on with her at the moment. I really hope that they've got something lined up for her for this year because it's really sad for me that she's just been lowered to serving tables in the bistro, honestly. Anyway, after Craig leaves... Craig then goes to the factory, doesn't he? To go and speak to Sarah. And Craig does that, and Sarah has to kind of awkwardly reveal to Adam about the fact that she was with Damon for a little bit yesterday. And Adam's fuming. How can you take Damon's side on this? And what were you talking about? What were you doing together all that time? And she doesn't deny when he asks whether she's getting back with him. So it seems even at this early stage, she's thinking, maybe I'll keep my options open here. He's quite hot and stubbly. Anyway, it's none of your business, Adam. We're not together anymore. We had a split up storyline last year, and Adam says, I'll never accept you together. This guy's dangerous and he'll hurt you. So he goes off and finds Bethany in the pub and says, we need to help keep Sarah away from Damon. He's dangerous. This is your favourite bit of the week, Gemma.
Why?
Adam's telling Bethany.
Oh yeah, shut up.
That Damon is dangerous. Stupid fade to the prison. Damon is there. returning character number 5 million. It is Harvey Gaskell.
Harvey Nichols.
A lot of people quite like this scene from what I saw online, but it just didn't do anything for me. From this point on, anything that happened on Tuesday's episode, Gemma has got no memory of it because she just can't see through the red mist of the crossfade scene, and people not all agreeing unanimously that it was the worst editing decision since the Blackball Butcher
ever.
So Harvey, it sounds like, has been beaten up. Oh yeah, I think there's some kind of establishing we're not really getting on with each other. Harvey says, I got beaten up by people who said you did it. You sent them for me. I don't know. Damon denies it. They talk about Jacob. They say, remember him? Remember right now? Never heard of him. Harvey has heard, though, somehow, about this bungled kidnapping attempt yesterday. So he's obviously got some sources out there.
Hang on, you said they haven't heard of Jacob. They haven't heard from Jacob.
Jacob who? Anyway, the crux of this scene was Harvey has got an interesting business opportunity for Damon, a robbery organised by somebody who pushed Damon out of a window on his 21st birthday, as you do. Damon's like, nope, not interested in this. Think I'd leave my neck on the line for you? I'd rather clean toilets. So, that can't be all we've seen of Harvey, can it?
I don't know, because he seems to kind of like pitch up for like the odd episode. You're right. He does sometimes.
And then he goes away again. A bit Rob Donovan-ish. Yeah.
Because he's not getting out of prison.
No. He can't. They can't make him escape again.
So we're not following. You don't care. Like no one's like, gosh, yeah, but what's Harvey doing?
So is it? I mean, like I was saying earlier, part of this Damon story is revolving around the fact that he is insisting, I've changed. Is this offer from Harvey just to say, no, I've changed, and we're supposed to believe because he didn't accept the offer from Weatherfield's most water-repellent gangster that he might
be in it for a couple more episodes, and then I think that's it. Like, he might be like, Damon, I know you didn't agree, but now I've got some blackmail or leverage, and I'm going to kill Sarah. Or
I think. Do you think that Damon is going to eventually do this robbery? Because Damon is getting pestered, isn't he, by Harvey later on in the week?
No, I don't. Well, you're in the show.
Do you want to do something that could possibly make it onto the front of a soap magazine cover, but then ultimately turn out to be in a bit of a damp squib? You up for that, Damon?
Yeah.
Go on then. You're twisting my arm.
Do you want to rob the pound shop?
Yeah. Do you want to rob the pawn shop? I hear there's some awesome Bailey Christmas presents in there. Sorry, the Wendy house is gone.
Yeah, they've all been snapped up, and the charity shop don't bother going in there either. All the good stuff's been taken.
Yeah, by Evelyn. Anyway.
No, by everyone who was dressing up for fancy dress.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh, sorry for that. Eye roll. Anyway,
he'd rather clean toilets. Bye.
Yes, and Damon says, Harvey says, bye. That's my job. Over at the bistro, Nick and Leanne are debating still whether they should give Damon this money back. And Nick says, look, and I think that he makes a good point here. If we give him his money back, he's nothing to do with us anymore.
Weren't they trying to get rid of him?
Yeah.
So what's the problem? Nick's like, I'm sorry, Leanne, I can't. Your mercurial ways are confusing me. 1 minute you want to get rid of him, now you don't know. Let's just give him the money and tell him to get bent.
I guess, the flip side of that is they are going to be down a substantial amount of cash.
Well, they always are.
Everyone's always down a substantial amount of cash.
They've always
managed to
find a way of doing it.
We're
going to have to sell our mansion in the south of France.
But it's sometimes when you have characters in situations like this, they'll say, I will do what you ask me to do if for me to get rid of you, but you haven't actually got rid of them, and I would wonder whether Damon will get his money back but still continue to waft around the bistro and maybe try to use it as a base of operations or something. I don't know. But anyway, they're going to give him his money back, which spells good news for Ed later on in the week. Adam goes back to the police station later. Craig is spectacularly unhelpful with the plan. They're like, well, we've asked around.
We investigated. I don't get it. We investigated.
Sarah was with him for a bit of yesterday, so clearly he didn't do it. And you've just made the whole thing up, Mr. Barlow.
I go and I ask people, did you do it? And they say no, and my hands are tied.
Yeah, basically it was that. So Adam
I don't think you want me to go around accusing upstanding citizens of lying, because that should be a crime.
So Sarah, Nick, Bethany in the pub later talking about Damon, and Sarah's getting all het up with herself because she thinks that they believe that Damon kidnapped Adam. And she's like, no, never do that, would she? No. I thought I was only with him for most of the time.
Okay, right.
It could have been anyone who could have killed. Everyone loved to kill Adam. It's probably somebody who found him really hunky and just wanted to do all manner of things to him.
Is this not the most... This is the most stupid thing.
Among all the others.
Who thinks... Right, everyone in the Rovers, put your hand up. Who here
Go
thinks...
on, all 5 of you.
Who here thinks that Damon could single-handedly kidnap Adam? Put your hands up. Okay, nobody. No, Sarah, he didn't do it by himself. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, how could you think that Damon kidnapped Adam? I don't, because, quite frankly, Adam could stomp Damon to death. It's obviously other people that helped him do it.
But I think if you kind of thinking away from the fact that this is a soap and everybody... if you're going to get kidnapped, it's going to be another character that you know is going to do it. Sarah has got a point to think. You can't just accuse someone randomly just because he's turned back up again. Just because he's turned back up again and he's got a
criminal with a motive.
But it doesn't necessarily mean it's them. So I think Sarah isn't completely wrong to say, well, let's get some evidence first.
The day before Damon turned up, not kidnapped. Day he turns up, kidnapped.
Wow, you should join Weatherfield Police. Never
I'm
mind,
like,
Craig.
listen, Swain, sit down. Come on, everybody.
And we teach you a few things.
Where's the whiteboard?
About how to be a coffer. Damon, she says, Damon's not like his brother. Bethany says, you still clearly fancy him. And Sarah's like, yeah, I really, really like him.
Sarah, you know your judgment cannot be counted upon. You have already been responsible for one drug dealer getting murdered. Do you not think that Damon could be next?
So is this
what's going to happen to every drug dealer in Weatherfield? They're just going to end up in a relationship with Sarah until one of her relatives bangs them on the head and buries them under the
I saw some people
extension.
online getting annoyed about the fact that when Sarah split up with Gary, which some people are still very raw about, it was because
they were dating.
They were love's young dream. Everybody loved Sarah and Gary together, apart from
remember.
me, it seemed like. But when they split up, it was because of his involvement with Rick Neelan, and she didn't want somebody who was, living a dodgy criminal life. But now look, here she is, happy to woo clearly the next big gangster of the street. But like we've said many times before, she has always had a bit of a thing for bad boys.
She really does. But everybody does.
To...
literally everyone on the streets. If a criminal comes along, they're like,
oh, Stephen Reed. Whoa.
But then again, there's nobody on the street who really lives a blameless life. They're all criminals.
Do all girls have a thing for bad boys, Gemma?
No, I can't be bothered with it. Do you? No.
They'd be able to bring you money from all the crimes they got up to.
No, because I'll get anxiety about it. I'll be like, oh, where's this money?
But anyway, Sarah doesn't mind because she thinks he's changed. Can't change a man, Sarah.
Well,
Gemma's tried.
It's so true. She's... Oh.
Anything else?
She's so beautiful.
So, Adam's still fuming about Damon later. This time, Leanne is the unfortunate recipient of his ire. And she says, look, Nick's told me Sarah really likes Damon. That was a bit confusing. And he's not happy with this news, obviously. So Damon's with Sarah in the flat later, telling her about Harvey's offer about the robbery, which he doesn't really want. Then the subject of the kidnapping comes up. He
tells Sarah, I was asked to do a kidnapping.
No, the robbery. He tells Sarah that But then she says, I can't remember how it comes up, but it basically goes along the line of, Damon, Adam was saying something about being kidnapped the other day, and he reckons that he didn't do it. Did you do it? Did you do it? And he's like, yeah, I did it.
For God's sake.
Fair cop, you got me, Sarah Lou.
She's a better investigator than the entire Weatherfield Police Department.
Yeah. No, look, most of those detectives at Weatherfield Police Department do a sterling job. You
But
can't
to
get it
be
right
fair,
every time. It's just Officer Craig. He's a bit
Did
pants.
Craig actually say, Damon, did you kidnap Adam? Or did he just say, where were you? When Adam was kidnapped.
Good point.
Because
You forgot the key question.
He was like, Damon was like, I cannot tell a lie, but you didn't actually ask me the question directly. So therefore, I'm not obliged to answer it. Case closed.
Anyway, he says to Sarah, yeah, I did plan this kidnapping, but I didn't shoot him in the head. So really, where's the crime?
There isn't one.
And I've changed. I'm a right un now. And can you say a right un? Is that the opposite of a wrong un? I don't know. It is now. He loves her. He's a different person. He needs her to trust him and forgive him. And she's like, nope, off you go. Maybe tomorrow. So Wednesday, Sarah avoids Damon in the cafe, and he because she's determined to not have anything to do with him anymore. And this is when he gets his text message from Harvey saying he's playing a dangerous game. The clock is ticking. Speaking of which, new series of The Traitors started, everybody. Anyone else watch it?
Everyone watches it.
I think we both were in agreement that the first episode didn't live up to the hype quite so much.
We've got to get on and watch it because people are spoiling things.
Has it been on tonight?
There's 3 episodes on iPlayer.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Oh my god. No, we just kind of said about the first episode of Traitors, it's kind of very similar to the last one, and the general excitement of, oh, this is a really clever game show, wasn't there yesterday.
I'm excited about it though.
Plus we've seen the American and the Canadian one.
All the way through watching it, I was saying to you, the first series, I was saying to you, everyone's going to watch this, he's going to be in the next series, and they're going to try to use the knowledge they've gained. Yeah. And that is going to make it a completely different game to the first series. Yeah. Just that basic
I'm looking forward to it, but I didn't leave yesterday.
I'm not,
anyway,
the people, I'm not as keen on them as...
short at all. No, not yet. I'm sure we'll get to like them. So, Damon is carrying on his conversations with Ed, which we mentioned in the last storyline when I put my notes in the wrong place earlier. But he says, look, you want a job doing a renovation somewhere? I can't remember. It's a bit boring. I'm going to get a bistro money soon. Do you want the job? And Dee Dee gets wind of this and talks to Ed and says, you can't do work for Damon. He's clearly a mega baddie. Don't just say no. So Ed summons Damon to the cafe later and says, I don't want to work for you. I need to stay on the straight and narrow. I'd come out a really dark story. I don't want to go into another one. Thank you very much.
I haven't finished the story I'm in. I can't do another one.
Yeah. And Damon says, look, that's what I want as well. Everything's above board. Honestly, eventually though, Ed's arm is twisted.
Damon's like, maybe I could be in your gambling story and this job will just go smooth and we'll just maybe mention it in the passing and say things like, isn't it good that there's no drama involved in that? So I
possibly could have included this bit of the story in the Ed story, so
maybe
it's going to come up later, but it's a very confusing week this week. There wasn't much else, but there was a very amusing scene in the Rovers booths, wasn't there, towards the end of the episode where Sarah and David backed onto a booth where Dee Dee and Ed are, and they're listening in, and you can see it from behind Dee Dee. You can see Sarah's face through the other side, and David's there with the glass up to the booth. That was brilliant. I loved it.
I don't understand why they didn't see her face. Like
they were very locked into their conversation about it, and. Sarah he thinks...
Who's he?
I don't know. I've written he, but it may be she here. Somebody says that Damon is a good man trying to get out. Maybe he says. What? I don't know.
Sarah's like...
Basically, the end of the episode is Sarah clearly has not totally given up on Damon. And they'll soon be... Damon's soon going to be walking around in an open dressing gown. Oh, is he going to be the towel? Is he going to be the Bethany?
Dressing gown.
Whoa. I've watched that.
She's like, he's really good in bed and like, maybe if I don't do a crime, he'll be alright. Sarah wants a slap. Adam... Why is Adam just letting it drop? Sarah's such an idiot. But like earlier in the week, she cared about Adam. I don't get this. This makes no sense from her character's perspective. earlier in the week, Adam's like, I'm having a mental health crisis. You know, I've had a nice time with you, but I'm worried because I'm having panic attacks. He doesn't do anything to annoy her or upset her.
He does, though. His thing to upset her is he's accusing someone that she kind of likes.
No. Let me tell the story chronologically. Adam and Sarah, close. He's vulnerable. Women love that. And in need of her, and she can help him. He gets kidnapped. She's like, no, you didn't. And then Damon says, yes, he did. And she's like, oh. But Damon's cute. Like, how has Sarah gone from kind of wanting to get back with Adam maybe, or flirting with him, or spending time with him, or caring about him, to knowing for a fact he was kidnapped by somebody, and then just going, oh, I won't say anything. Do you see what I'm...
Yeah, no, I do.
What's her motivation? Is he really so good in the sack that she's prepared to let it all slide? Like, she knows Adam's gonna... This is the sort of thing that would actually drive you crazy.
They did have some particularly good chemistry at points last year. Sarah and Damon.
I know, but it doesn't... What's her motivation? Is that literally it? That
I think it is.
She's so awful.
She just likes to drop those jaws. Remember how cross I got at her on the podcast last year? She's just about to do it again, but this time at least she's not cheating.
It's missing. My point is, it feels like it's missing something. Like Adam should have done something, or upset Sarah, or been rude or mean or something for her to have gone, oh, I don't care that he was kidnapped, actually.
Yeah. I think, I'm... The reason I'm fairly uninterested in this is, yet again, Corrie has not done enough for me to really, really want to root for Sarah and Adam to get back together again. Like, if they do, great, whatever. If they don't, whatever. So everything else around... I think at the moment I'm supposed to be thinking, no, Sarah, don't do it. He's clearly a wrong and go back to Adam. He's a super lawyer and he's a great dad to Harry. And he is a good dad to Harry, I think. But I don't care enough, because even if they get back together, all that'll mean is, well, we won't see them again probably until the next time that they're having a bit of a wobble in their relationship. Anyway, talking about having a bit of a wobble, do you want to move on to the Paul story? Didn't even plan that segue.
No.
What has Paul been up to on the first week of 2024? I pass to you.
On Monday, oh my goodness, Billy, I guess it makes sense. He doesn't know how to do roast dinner because he's always in church.
No reason why he should. He's probably never cooked a roast lunch in his life.
I'm always working on a Sunday. You know me. I'm never away from that church. But now I've decided, because it's Monday, I'm going to make roast dinner. And Paul's given him some tips. Well, Sam has given him some tips.
On how to make roast potatoes.
How to make roast
potatoes.
potatoes.
I think Paul does it. I think they both do.
Well, no, Summer definitely does.
Yeah, she does. She knows everything. She read it in a book.
Yeah, I'm so fed up with people giving tips for roast potatoes. It's not hard. Paul's trying to have a cup of tea, but he drops it on the floor.
Oh yeah, and this is with his other hand, isn't it? His left hand is now...
His second hand is now not...
going a bit...
helping. Billy's decided that not only am I going to make a dish that I'm not sure how to do, but I'm going to make pudding, and I'm going to make puff pastry from scratch. Nobody makes puff pastry from scratch. And
can I have a packet?
Nobody. Do people really like apple pie that much?
Yes.
I don't get...
Oh, I like a nice apple pie.
I know, but don't make it.
You don't like apple crumbled either, do you?
I'm not really keen on them. Don't make it for me, Billy. It's fine. Why doesn't everybody just do what I want and make what I want to eat? Right.
Anyway.
So Moses is there and he tries to persuade him to stay, but he won't. And then when dinner's finally served, poor Paul, he can't even use his cutlery, so someone has to feed him. And they're all looking at each other like nobody's wanting to say that the obvious here. This is like...
I'd say it's it is. It's not
of...
the beginning of the end. It's yet another milestone in the horrible decline.
This is the worst thing because I don't feel like, I'm not sure, but it feels to me like you'll never be able to do that again. It's not like you have a good day and a bad day. Like some things you do, don't you? There are some diseases or illnesses where you have good days and bad days, and even if you're wheelchair user, sometimes you might not be as reliant on it, or you can, feeling better today, so maybe you can, stand up for a bit longer. But for Paul, I get the impression that
I don't know whether it's a case of that's
ability,
gone, but it's like it's not going to be long until it's gone.
Billy says, I might have to give up my work. And Paul says, no, I'll just try to ask Moses for more time. And it's crazy because Moses keeps pitching up and saying things like, I've only got 15 minutes or something. Like, they've not outright said it, but it feels very clear to me that there's obviously a crisis with...
Well, they pretty much did say it, because that's why Moses was late on yesterday's episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he says, there's lots of work and, I guess
15 minutes really isn't that long. Especially
it's enough, to take him to the loo and,
give him a quick wash up, but
it's not really helpful.
It's probably really helpful, but just not long enough. Okay, yeah. Not at all long enough. What if
Paul was living by himself? What on earth would happen?
Well, people have said he might have like urine bottles or something just in
catheters and things.
Yeah, in case he can't
didn't. Yeah, but he didn't need it until.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Is it? Or Wednesday. Comes out Summer's organising a belated Christmas surprise for Paul.
What could it be?
Tuesday, Todd comes over to the flat, but he just wants to see Moses, but Moses isn't there. And even if he was, he's on the clock, Todd. If you want to see him, it's like 60 quid an hour.
I don't like how they're making Todd...
perv over Moses. No, I don't either.
I think he'd just be a bit sly, and I think he'd be more charming about it. But he's coming across as like, well, I don't know whether it's pervy. It's just more like love struck and like, oh, Moses.
It feels wrong to me because this guy's just doing a job. Leave him alone.
Yeah, and they still don't know he's gay.
Again, if this was a female carer, and Todd was coming on like this, it would be gross.
Yeah, no, I know totally.
Billy brings up Summer's secret big surprise for Paul. Here's a clue: a motorbike helmet. He's going on a motorbike ride.
Motorbike ride?
Oh my god!
What's happened to your words?
I'm really
Do you
tired.
need to record your voice? I know we've done that. Do we need to upload it?
Motorbike ride. With her university, there's a long story about this, but she's got a guy with a sidecar.
Yeah.
And he's like, great, but he doesn't really want to do it. And then the guy turns up and he doesn't even have a sidecar. And they're all worried about this. And then the guy says, I can go and get a harness. So they go off to get the harness. Then they all go outside and make a massive spectacle of trying to haul him onto this bike. And everyone's trying to help him. People get roped in. And there's this very interesting direction where you see Paul's perspective, but it's from like a handheld mobile phone.
Yeah, that was weird.
I didn't mind. I thought that was quite good.
But it was just that it's like a couple of seconds, wasn't it?
It was like they were trying to film Bigfoot.
I don't get what it added to the scene. Maybe it's to help us to try and empathise with him a little bit more, and it's all a bit wobbly.
Obviously.
But they maybe could have gone.
No, I liked
a bit more with it. But oh god, that yet again. I'll say I just keep repeating myself, but. Didn't you feel awful for Paul as that was happening?
He's embarrassed. Everyone's staring at him. They can't get him onto the bike. He's probably terrified as well.
Yeah, and they weren't staring at him. I don't think there was anybody there that was just having a gorp, was there?
No.
Everyone genuinely wanted to help him.
Yeah, but that doesn't help. He doesn't want to be pitied and helped. And
no.
He wants to be able to do stuff. He doesn't want to be put into situations where he has to rely on people. And now here he is, like, 5, 6 people trying to help him on the back of a motorbike. But he's like, let me down. And he gets really mad and he fumes off.
And he can't. He says something later about I can't even storm off without your help because I need to get up the stairs.
It's horrible. He's really down, and Summers keeps saying I'm sorry, and he's this makes it worse because she's got to be comforted and doesn't help anyone.
She was just trying to do something nice for him, so he's probably feeling like I shouldn't be feeling ungrateful. I shouldn't be acting ungrateful about this. This is my kind of daughter-ish.
And it's awful because he can't sort of be authentic and genuine in his feelings without hurting Summer's feelings, but he should be able to express his upset without having to worry about other people. Later on, Billy's like, I've had a brilliant idea. We should go to Tenerife. And Paul's like, no, I don't want to go.
Tenerife.
Don't want to go to Tenerife. How are we going to pay for it? And Billy says, well, I found a really great deal. And they're like, come on, let's go, Paul. And he's like, oh, all right, I'll think about it.
He was really, really having to nag, wasn't he, Billy? I kind of feel bad for some of the hate that Billy's getting online, because lots of people throughout this week were saying, can't he read the room? Can't he stop having a go at Paul and trying to get him to do things that he doesn't want to do? But I think you would. Like, even when Billy later on decides that he's going to take an indefinite amount of time off work so he can be with Paul 24 hours a day, you'd want to do that for your new spouse.
He's not in Paul's body, so he doesn't truly understand, and he just wants to make things better, and he's desperately looking for some magic wand that he can wave.
And he believes the purpose of his job is to help people, is to serve.
It's very tough. I don't feel like Billy's doing anything wrong.
I really, really don't. But I know lots of people do.
I can see why people think that he does, and he's a bit caught up in his own...
He is a little bit. With the holiday...
But equally, he's just as much of a human being as Paul is. He's suffering too, and he's repressing it more than Paul is. Because it's not... You can't... Who's he supposed to talk to? Oh, Paul, I'm having such a hard time with your terminal illness.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul's holding it together, but he's a bit more free to cry and feel upset about it. But Billy's got nobody to... I mean, he says it to Summer at one point, doesn't he, this week? But he's protecting her too.
Yeah.
So on Wednesday, they found a disability-friendly hotel, and so Paul's like, oh, I guess I think
by the time he says yes to it, then he genuinely thinks it's an all right idea, which just makes it all the worse later in the week when it turns out that they can't actually do it.
A package comes to him, and it's the voice book that the phrase is. No, it's not the book, is it? It's just the phrase bank.
Yeah, it's the tablet. It's the sound bank with all the Summers Robot sound clips loaded into it. I thought that was really nice. I'd kind of forgotten about that. But they had some lovely scenes. For Wednesday's episode was some more really tragic, heartbreaking stuff, but also some really kind of fun.
Well, they're having a good time with all the
just pressing all the buttons,
like mint and.
I don't think I've ever heard Paul say mint in my life.
I don't think anyone really says mint on Corrie.
No, they don't really, do they? And Summer's like saying, do you want a cup of tea, Paul? What flavour do you want? And mint. I very much appreciated that scene. I thought it was lovely.
Press button.
Clever things that you can do.
Oasis is better than Blur. Yeah, that's right.
I prefer the old Summer. So how did that get in there?
What? Yeah, they're having a laugh with it. Then Billy's trying to find travel insurance. He's like, this is ridiculous. It's eye-wateringly expensive. I didn't realise this would be like this. And this
Paul brought this up the previous episode, and Billy's like, no, it'll be fine.
The same problem, and I'm not terminally ill, but if you've got anything wrong with you, you might as well just forgive up.
Oh yeah, I mean, my mum had that, didn't she? When she was ill and she couldn't get away anywhere. It's horrible.
It's all these people who, like, you know, what would be my bucket list, or what could I, you know, I'd love to do this, that, the other thing before I die. You better make sure that you do, because you won't be able to afford to...
Did my mum make it to the Grand Canyon? Did
No.
she? She didn't, did she? She really wanted to go to the Grand Canyon. And...
That always made me sad that she never got to go.
Yeah. I get it from a travel insurance point of view. It is very risky.
No, but I really think it feels like there should be... If I was to set up a charity, this is the most vacuously middle class thing I've ever thought of. It would be a travel insurance for people that are terminal and they want to go somewhere.
Yeah. I
mean, I've never been to the Grand Canyon. We don't go on holidays or anything, but I'd like to think that if I was going to die, I'd get to go somewhere I'd wanted to travel to.
Well, maybe we'll put that on our own holiday bucket list and go there for Mum.
I don't really want to go to the Grand Canyon.
You think you might fall in or something?
It's a hole.
It'd be pretty. I think you'd find it a bit hot there.
I'll go in the winter, but even then.
Okay.
It doesn't appeal
we'll put it on
me.
the maybe list. Sorry, Mum.
I always thought that you guys would go and scatter ashes in the Grand Canyon, but then I thought that's probably a bit rude, isn't it?
Why?
Well, you never got to go. There you go. Now you can.
Yeah, not so
It
easy to
feels
go
a
and
bit
visit her
insulting.
either, is
It
it?
feels a bit insulting to be like, you never got to go in life, so we'll throw you in now.
Yeah.
Because if I was her, I'd be like,
don't
well,
want to
that's
stay
not
here
helpful,
eternally.
is it?
I just wanted a quick look
I
over
don't
the
like it,
edge.
actually. Take me home.
Bit dry out here, actually.
Right, so...
Anyway, enough of my mum's unfulfilled dreams of going to the Grand Canyon.
This is why I say never have dreams or ambitions, because you'll just die. Right, Paul says, never mind, I didn't want to go anyway. It was a nice idea, though. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Billy. Billy's not giving up, but he doesn't really come up with anything. Except sangria. Well, Daisy and Gemma are really upset about Paul's insurance news, so they get sangria, and David and Paul get smashed.
This was great. Coronation Street has just remembered Damon and Paul are supposed to be friends.
No,
they've not yesterday's
more than
episode.
you never expected them
but
to.
there was a scene in the bistro with them over Christmas, wasn't there? They have seriously dropped the ball on this story, and it's not even no. From this, there's an awful lot that I love about this story, clearly. But if I could say one thing that I wish could have happened, had been added to this story, is that David had been a companion and a confidant and all that to put Paul all the way through, because they were cellmates. The reason that Paul came into the show was because of David, and it's not just this story. It kind of felt like since Paul has been a recurring a major character on the show, he's had nothing to do with David. But these scenes that particularly yesterday's ones, have been so good. They had great little friendship together. Corey just don't care about friendship. They did enough to make me happy that
that's
it's
enough.
Been the hat has been tipped to their friendship. But it did leave me wishing that there could have been more.
But
no
time for that. We've got Damon, we've got Bethany,
Bobby.
we've got there's no time for it.
No time with characters being friends. It was a lot of
having a fun time. Steve comes in, Maria comes in. They go to the flats, have more of a joke, and then
there's a bit where David is being really supportive. Like, Paul says he needs to go to the loo, and David immediately says, "Look, I'll take you," which I thought was great.
I know. I wouldn't know what to. I wouldn't even know what to do.
David kind of is saying, "Oh, I've done my duty now. I've done my civic duty to the poor disabled people of Weatherfield," and Paul's like, "Oh yeah, well, this is what you have to do when you got a terminal mate." And then they kind of gets a little bit more different. It was pitched just right, that scene. I thought it was great. Yeah, David's like, "Well, yeah, I got me out of doing housework with Shona. I loved it. It was really nice mate stuff."
Paul wants the wee, but David offers it. He says, "No, Moses will come in a minute," and then Moses doesn't turn up, and he's trying to phone him. He's sitting there. He keeps looking at the toilet, and he just getting more and more desperate, and eventually he pulls the wheelchair over and he tries to get in. He ends up on the floor. He tries to drag himself to the bathroom and he doesn't make it. He ends up wetting himself just as Billy arrives. And
there's a scene where we see the shoes and then it pans up to being Billy, because first you're supposed to think, "Oh, who's this? Could it be Moses?" Oh no, it's Billy, and it was just excruciatingly embarrassing for poor Paul.
Who's this? A returning character?
Yeah, it could have been, actually. Usually when they show the feet and then go upwards, it's a sexy lady getting out of a taxi, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is Liz McDonald.
Yeah, Liz McDonald's turned up.
It's
hello.
Becky Granger. No, it's just Billy.
Just Billy. And he's like, "Leave me alone, find Moses." And Billy's desperate. "Help, I can help, it's fine. And Paul's like, "No, I've had an accident, get out."
He was red, he was fuming, he was
humiliated.
So humiliated.
Billy won't let this go. Paul has to let him drag him to the bathroom. He just looks defeated and awful.
Yeah, well, he's kicking it. He's like, no, don't take me. I can do it myself. And then you're right. When Billy was taking him there, it just looked like everything had been drained out of Paul's face. It's like, is this what life has come to now? Being dragged backwards to the toilet by my husband. Which, by the way, we talked about last week on the podcast. Hang on a minute, isn't the bathroom the other side of the flat? No, it definitely turns out that it is in that bit of the flat.
Well,
things you learn.
Who needs a realistic layout? Not me. Moses gets there. He's so sorry that he's late, but there's so many appointments, not enough staff. And Paul's like, "Yeah, those Bastard Tories.
Thank you for waiting for me to cough before you got that profanity out.
Yeah. Moses stays a bit longer than he needs to and heads off. And Paul's
forgiven him. He's just had a lovely time, and Paul's nice, and he's like, yeah, well, these
Paul
things.
hasn't had a lovely time.
No, he starts.
Paul. One thing I'll say about Paul is, and that I don't know that this would be me. He's not bitter at the moment.
No,
I would just be. You might as well just smother me with a pillow.
Moses
I would
has helped
spend my
cheer
whole
him up.
time. I'd be like a cantankerous old woman from a Jane Austen novel or something. I just spend my whole time just bitching.
Well, that's made me even less want you to end up having a horrible terminal illness.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
I wasn't keen on the idea before, but now
really
I know
not
what you
worth
turn
it.
into. Like now,
I don't know where he's
think
got this
I will.
attitude from, but
Billy's still
a
pretty
blessing
mad
to
with
have.
Moses, isn't he? But Paul's like, no, it's not his fault.
It's not his fault.
Yeah.
So Billy goes off and comes back. Guess what? I've been given indefinite leave. What do you do though?
I've been thinking about this. We always complain
Yeah.
that everybody gets a job in the street on Coronation Street. And say, why does nobody get a job off the street? And then the minute you have a character who doesn't work within a 30-second walk of their front door, it's like, what do they do? They're
do
barely,
anything.
they don't do any work. Like, Billy does actually go off for the day, and he's not...
Does he?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, okay.
He,
All right. But I think the problem is also that we don't know as members of the public, what does a vicar or an archdeacon or anybody, what do they do? Really have less idea than almost any other job I can imagine what they do. I
can imagine what a vicar does, but I'm not too sure about an
I
archdeacon.
don't know. Do they just sit around waiting for some kind of spiritual crisis to occur? Right, so
anyway,
the other thing I'm going to say also is that I realised, I said to you the other day, that Coronation Street is a communist paradise, isn't it? I'm always moaning about how
definitely.
everybody on the street has like secret bags of money everywhere. But really, this is communism in action. Everybody does whatever job, but everybody is so equal. They all live in similar houses. They all eat the same food. They all do the same things.
They all go to the bistro for a treat and speed dial for a treat.
They can afford to do whatever they want.
Nowhere else.
Nobody's lording it over anybody else. Whenever they're in trouble, money appears and solves everything. This is what communism should be like. And also, communism should be somebody just getting indefinite leave from their job and not worrying about money.
Yeah.
Because where is the money coming from? Paul's got his
allowance.
Or whatever it is. And I guess Billy will have some kind of carer's allowance and some kind of universal credit or something from not having a job.
Mm.
Unless the church is giving him his wages, which
that'd be the kind of compassionate
nice.
Christian and
That's
thing
what
to do.
Jesus would do.
Yeah.
But like, this would have been, I guess it would have gone down another avenue, which I would prefer it didn't, to take the focus off of Paul. But if this was anybody else, you would be up at night. How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay the mortgage? How am I going to buy food? Nobody can just drop their job to look after their relative without making big sacrifices. But Billy can, apparently. So that's nice.
That's communism.
Communism.
That's what I'm calling it.
Yeah. So Paul's not happy about this, actually. No.
He doesn't like the idea of Billy hanging around him 24 hours a day.
I think it's more that he's scared of having intimate care done by Billy.
Yeah, because he, even like going back to the bathroom scene, Paul was getting worried that Billy wasn't finding him sexy anymore, and even though
You can totally understand his perspective. I wouldn't like you to have to do that. I'm assuming at some point one of us will have to do something like that for the other one.
Maybe.
I don't like the idea of it. I'm hoping robots will be invented by then.
Yeah, get Alexa to do it.
Yeah. But he's just mad. He's like, why didn't you ask me first? Why did you make such a big decision? You should have asked me.
He does also like his independence. I mean, you can be madly in love with your partner, but still want to have a little bit of a break from them, can't you?
Well, it's also he's got many. He's not very clear on what it is that he's particularly concerned about with this, but you can imagine any number of justifiable reasons, can't you?
I think maybe he'd like the idea that to maybe spend some more time with David, or I think he thinks that he's going to get smothered
Billy,
by Billy.
Gemma and Summer come home later, and remember they both live there.
Yeah, we were just saying the other day, weren't we, that Gemma's supposedly been living in their flat for the past 2 months or so, yet we never see her there.
And that's also communism.
It's
having to sleep on someone's sofa.
It's almost like the choreographer said, "Oh, where should we put Gemma when she's being kicked? Let's put her in Billy's flat." And, oh no, they got a story that it's too late now. She's there. Let's just never show her being there or have anything to do with her own twin brother's MND storyline.
Yeah,
it's true. She's not really needed in it, is she?
It's the same as David, though. That's my point.
I think that Gemma and Paul have got a really nice relationship, but I don't think. I'm not crying out for more Gemma, but I am David now of experience.
So they sense the tension in the air, and so that Paul just is fed up, and he goes, and Billy and Summer are left alone, and he says, "Look, Paul had an accident. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell him I told you. He's really embarrassed." And this is when Billy starts to cry to her, and he says it's going to go from bad to worse to absolutely unthinkable. And this is, he doesn't get a lot of chance to talk about his emotions.
I wouldn't want him to have repressed it or anything, but it was probably pretty tough on Summer to see her dad getting so upset as that and feeling that she would have to shoulder.
This feels like a rite of passion as an rite of passion, rite of passage,
crime of passage. That's what goes on in Villa's Alley.
Oh my god! Right, this is when you become an adult, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think there are loads of watershed moments in anyone's life where you can say this is when you became an adult, like first period, first time you have sex, when you fall in love, when you go to university, when you move out. I think the first time you realise your parents are struggling or have a life, or are three-dimensional people with problems, that's when you become an adult, or that's when your childhood ends. Because I can think of a few times in my life when that horrible realisation hit me that mum and dad aren't just magic wand wavers that can do anything all the time. And this is a bit of a reckoning for Summer too. I mean, we haven't heard anything from her.
No, we haven't seen anything
this.
since. She's been
very
again
quiet.
Yeah, not a huge player in this story. I mean, we said earlier in the podcast that she had a huge number of episodes last year, but barely anything this year. I've not been desperate for her this year, but maybe we'll start to see more of her now.
2022 and then 23, very quiet.
Oh yeah.
Todd's over with Paul later. He's hearing about everything that's happened, and it's just them two.
Yeah.
And Paul's like, this is what I said to you about the assisted dying thing, and Todd's like, no, we're not talking about that. And Paul says, Billy's made his choice, I'm making mine. And he says, I've got to get my ducks in a row before the time comes, and it won't be long now.
So he's realising that this future that Billy's planning for them for the next few months is not something that he wants to deal with. So this assisted dying thing that he was looking into last summer may be looking like a not bad idea for him now. It's
becoming more and more apparent to him that he's not getting the choices. He's not being allowed to make choices. And there will be a time when he can't say, this is very dark. I don't think they programmed that button on his iPad. Do you?
No.
Now's the time.
No. I don't know what to think about this so much. Like, I know that I've been saying ever since.
Well, when he said
that,
when Paul said assisted dying, you pointed at me like, yes,
I've been saying
triumphant.
This. Jim's gonna come back and he's gonna do what I tell you it's gonna happen. He killed off Shelley. I'm just waiting for it now. But lots of people have got very firm views on whether this assisted dying is good or not, and it seems like the right thing to say is I think it's fine and I think it's great well, not great, I think that it's should be an
I think it's
option.
brilliant.
I am supportive of this if the time is needed. I've not had, fortunately, ever had to be in an experience where I've never known anybody who that was an option for.
Yeah.
I've never known anyone considering it or said no, that's not going to be the route I'm going down. So it's not anything that I've wanted to. I think if you've known somebody who's been in a situation as Paul, you're possibly more likely to understand that it's not just you can't kill someone. As far as I know, it was not anything that it was talked about with my mum when she was in the hospice. So I don't think that's what she would have wanted anyway, is it? But
we would have known what she wanted. She would have told us.
Yeah, that is very true. So I don't want to say too much
But this
about
okay,
it,
right?
really,
So
but
I know, but I think there's a massive argument in favour of assisted dying, and I was always on that team, very much so. But to take the example of your mum, imagine if it was a sort of widespread legal thing, and then everyone was saying, oh, okay, well, when do you want us to end it for you, because we can do it now, and then acting. I can imagine people acting like, well, it's a bit selfish, isn't it? Because it's taking up resources. You're going to definitely
how
die.
much that is a thing in countries where it is legal.
I think it's awful, and I totally support people that want it for themselves. But I'm so aware of all the terrible things that would come from it.
No, that makes sense.
I don't want to stop anyone. I think decriminalising it is. But how do you prove? This is the thing. How do you prove it is definitely what that person wanted? Because there are so many vulnerable people who get taken advantage of, who I can imagine being railroaded into ending their lives sooner than they would have. And it's not down to anybody else to decide when your life should end.
Yeah.
And I totally agree that you should be able to decide it for yourself, but I'm just so upset to think, and I'm also so upset for the people that have to suffer and are forced to live in just the most unbearable situations with no power to do anything about it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Paul, and he's left this episode
easy.
Thinking this is what I want to happen, but then part of me is also thinking you've just had a really, really horrible afternoon, and it's no wonder you're feeling bad about it, and now Billy's saying that he's going to be looking after you all the time, and you don't want that. You want your independence, but you've had a really good morning as well, and and it might be you wake up tomorrow morning and think, God, no way do I want that. But if you had gone through with it, then could you have changed your mind?
I don't think it's as easy as a lot of people want it to be.
I know, but I away from the real world and back into Corrie again. I still
maintain what I said about it. I would prefer this not to have gone down this route.
Just because he's mentioning it now, it doesn't mean that is the route it's going to go. And I mean, it kind of writes itself where Paul wants to go down this route. Billy says, oh, hang on a minute, that doesn't really go along with my personal belief system. I'm not going to let you kill yourself. I can totally see Billy saying that and them having a dramatic soap argument about it. It also makes sense from a soap and performance point of view that there's only... There's not really... I'm thinking, how are they going to show Paul wasting away? But if he's only been given 6 months to live, and that's, down to 4 maybe now, how...
And also,
they probably could keep on the story going until nature takes its course.
I thought they did such a good job with Hayley's story. I don't know why they're revisiting this now.
It was 10 years ago, though. It feels like it was only yesterday. But you're right, they did a superb job with that, apart from the reintroduction of a stupid son.
Almost everything that needed to be said, I felt they, and I can't see it going any differently with Billy than it did with Roy. The fury and the unhealthy amount of anger that he had for her to take her life before he felt that she should have done, and all the time that was taken from him too.
Yeah, Billy's reaction would be similar to Roy's, as like, how you can't do this isn't right.
And then
okay, I'll let you do it. How would you
feel? How would you feel if you were him and you knew that there could have been a week, a month, and you never got that time? You're furious anyway because it's not fair, and then you get even less time. It
also just doesn't feel like it suits the tone of the story, which has been finding the light in the darkness.
The only way I can see that this would be different is if they went to a clinic. Because there would be people there saying you're doing the right thing. This is the problem with Hayley's. It was kind of a bit...
It was secret and dark, and you had your horrible concoction, and although he was on the bed hugging her, and they were playing the lovely music in the background.
It just felt really deeply, viscerally wrong, didn't it? It did.
And Anna and Carla banging on the door. You're right, and they could make it a little different.
I mean, I've seen one of those, the documentary about that Dignitas clinic, and I've seen somebody die in that documentary there, and it was definitely a different vibe to what happened with Hayley, because there was no suggestion that anything was wrong. Nobody's banging on the door going, what are you doing? There's no sobbing on the bed or like dark lighting or anything. It was everybody is around you and supporting you, and that's not what, unless he can convince Billy, that's not where this is going either.
I think he would be able to convince Billy though, but I still would rather the issue is brought up, they have a bit of drama if they have to go down that route, but in the end, I'd rather he didn't, I think. And it's not just me being selfish saying I want the story to go on longer. I think it would be... I think it would be better that he dies naturally. He says some lovely, beautiful things, and he has the light moment. I don't know.
But the thing is, I don't know if that's how MND takes you.
No, that's true. I mean, it doesn't. It takes away all of your faculties, doesn't it?
Like with your mum, she just fell asleep. Yeah. And she never woke up.
Yeah.
There was no big moment, was there?
No, not at all. If maybe that would be a bit too similar to Sinead. I suppose there's only so many ways that you can die.
I hate talking about this. It's making me cry.
Well, let's move on to a different story then, should we? I loved this story on Wednesday's episode, but it's making Gemma sad.
It really makes me sad.
Let's move on. Scratch it and crank. Any funnier yet, Gemma?
It's a funny.
Does it make you less sad when I make my hilarious puns? Yeah.
Great.
Thanks. Great. So this is the Cassie storyline, and she's getting all close to Kevin, isn't she? She's
What's she up to?
I put out a tweet and people responded in exactly the way that I wanted them to. I said, is she interested in his rants or his bants? And a good 5 people had pants in their answer. She just wants to wash his pants. Of course.
Exactly.
Cassie, wash my pants. Does it roll off the tongue just as well there? Cassie, make me tea.
No, Abby's better, isn't it?
Abby, yeah. Cassie, Abby. I don't know. Maybe they could both do it and just they'd be his handmaidens. I'd probably love that. Anyway, he doesn't realise yet necessarily that Cassie's being a bit of a minx, isn't she? And I don't know whether I enjoyed Cassie quite as much this week as I haven't in the past.
You have to take her award off her.
I think we might need to march down Claire Sweeney's house and get that award right off her. But anyway, it turns out that they can't fix the scratch on this Porsche until next week. He's found out, but the owner of it turns up, and he's been accidentally called in by Cassie. So Cassie's being mega sneaky here, isn't she? She's doing everything possible to try and get Abby in trouble for this scratch that she was in no way responsible for. And Cassie's like, I'm really sorry. I thought it was in a pile of paper. I thought I'd just give him a ring. And the guy comes over, and obviously he sees the scratch straight away because it's massive.
Nobody made any attempt to hide it. That's what annoyed me. Like, normally they would go stand next to it and kind of look.
They usually look really, really shifty, but this time they didn't. They just found it.
Oh, I hope he doesn't see that scratch.
Oh no, there he is. And Cassie says, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's going to be in the body shop this afternoon." And the man's like, "Better come back perfect." So again, Cassie's upping the stakes a little bit and making it a lot harder for Kevin, because she doesn't. It can't be in the body shop this afternoon. But now they've said it is, they're going to have to come up with alternate solutions. So the man's like, "You better do."
That's my Porsche.
That's exactly what he said, yes.
Yeah, that's like, I didn't...
That's a really expensive car.
Car cost, like, loads of money, more than you would imagine it would cost, because it's, like,
God, you should write the
a
dialogue for
super
this show.
expensive car. Like, I had to go and buy this from a shop.
Anyway.
And the guy there was like trying to upsell me and stuff, and he said, "Do you want this anti-scratch thing?" I was like, "I don't need that." And now I'm regretting
I'm
everything.
wishing I had. Yes, and really, if anything, it's the man's fault. He should have taken up Just doesn't even know what it was that caused the scratch, do we? Could have been anything. Anyway, it was. There was basically a load of bickering between Abby and Kevin throughout the week.
Better make sure my Porsche's ready, because I'm disappointed in this service.
Because he thinks that she's responsible for it. She's trying to apologise, but he's like, "Oh yeah, well, Abby, you should have been more careful." He's not being particularly supportive, especially considering there's not actually any evidence that it was definitely her. Yes, her trolley was near it.
That's the problem. She assumed it was her. It was her. She did it.
Yeah.
Like, she said, "Oh, I held my hand up. It must have been me." There's no reason for anybody to say, "Oh, it can't have been you." I mean, what's the solution here? That it's a ghost.
There aren't very many other alternatives, really, are there? No one else has got access to there.
It's one of those people.
It's Tyrone, innit? Tell you.
Isn't he still in Norfolk?
Norwich. No, he can't be.
Which?
Because the girls would have gone back to school this week. But
well, no, maybe not in Manchester.
Good point. I don't know when they broke up. Okay, so they're not in each other's best books. Abby and Kevin aren't, and Kevin's obviously really trying to find somebody quick to solve this scratch problem out, and Cassie's just kind of watching from behind it, so enjoying the chaos that she's caused, saying, "Oh, if only that scratch hadn't happened in the first place." Oh. So Kevin finally finds someone to sort it out. Cassie says, "I'll take it," and Abby's like, "No, I'm going to go and take it. I'll sort it. This is my mess. I'm going to get it sorted." So while she's gone, Cassie turns on the charms majorly with Kevin, getting all flirty with him. But then one-legged Jack comes over and inadvertently foils the plan. Jack, I don't remember whether he got a line on this Christmas Day appearance. I can't remember now, but I mean, does he count as another returnee of the week? Because he'd basically been absent from our screens for nearly 12 months. He'd been gone a lot longer than Damon had, for one thing, I'll tell you what.
He's been playing his games.
He's been playing football. He's a very good footballer, and he's just getting a bit messy.
He's better than Lily. All Lily does is talk about how good she is at football. I've never seen her play football.
I know. Have you seen Jack playing football?
Isn't that how he lost his leg?
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Football.
I don't think he's better now.
Football is a kid. Yeah, who would win if it was like a one-on-one footballing game between Jack and Lily?
Depends on whether he's allowed to take his leg off and throw it at her.
Okay, so much later, Abby finally gets back from Warrington, where the scratch was getting sorted, gets chatting with Roy, mentions the scratch. Obviously this gets him thinking, because he knows about the scratch. He saw it. Did he see it before?
He just knows that they went out in the car together.
Right. At that point, exactly. So Roy asked Cassie on Wednesday, "Look, do you know anything about the scratch? We took that car. Is it was it there when we got back?" And she admits that it was her. Very handy for plot. And
honestly, what an idiot!
I can't remember what it was that he said.
Would say anything, or what? Like, if you're trying to frame somebody for scratching a car and you know that you did it, don't go telling everybody that you did it.
I think Roy's just really insistent and difficult to lie to.
I suppose
he uses powers of his deduction.
He squints at you until you tell him.
Yeah. Also, I don't know whether Cassie's thinking, "You're not going to tell on me because you've got the hots for my mum."
Well, also, why was it your business? Keep your mouth shut.
Anyway, he says, "Look, you got to fess up. You got to say that it was you that did it." So I guess he does kind of guilt trip her into it, because she does, to be fair to her, go to the garage supposedly with the intention of confessing. But good old Kev, it was almost "I've got something to tell you." No, I've got something to tell you first. You're great. But no, Kevin kind of jumps in and says, "Tell you what, before you say anything, Cassie, how'd you like a permanent job?"
Does she not tell them that she scratched it?
No, she doesn't say anything. No, not there. She doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Later on, she does, but at this point, she doesn't because he says, Have a job. Abby is not thrilled about this news. She doesn't want to be working with Cassie full time. Cassie's totally made up with this and gives him a big old hug. Don't know why they need Cassie.
Why didn't you talk to me about it first before you gave up your job in the church, Kevin?
Yeah. What?
I'm just relating this to what Paul and Billy had an argument about.
Good point. I don't know whether they need
big decisions without talking to their partners.
I don't know whether they need 4 employees at the garage. They've managed for many years with just 2.
They're like, Cassie, since Abby's got clean, we need someone to lurk around in the dark. Are you able to do that for us?
Since we need somebody to maintain the garage's grubby image, and since Abby's spruced up herself nicely, we need your mucky face looking.
Can you look decrepit and upset, please?
Yeah, perfect.
And then maybe people won't get mad at us for scratching their cars. They'll think they're just lucky that we haven't taken the wheels off.
So anyway, the Porsche owner comes back to get the car later, refuses to pay. Harsh. Kevin says, well, if you do that, I'm just going to blacklist you amongst all the garages around here. You'll never get your car serviced here again.
I doubt it.
I doubt it as well. Imagine. I mean, to be honest, why did that owner go to Webster's? I mean,
I know.
I can't remember. He said, like, I don't know why I took it to this backstreet place anyway. Kevin got a bit upset about that, but it's just a backstreet garage, isn't
Kevin, if you don't want to get a reputation for being a weird backstreet grubby rip-off garage, don't have car seats outside where you sit like you work in a dump.
It really is, isn't it? And they had their Christmas snowman tyre of the white tyres, didn't they? Yeah,
it's fine, but it's not the place to take my Porsche.
No, and then you got your other property. Does it still belong to you? Just out on the other side, which has got
selling sofas behind you.
And it's just because it's possibly the most famous backstreet garage in the country. It doesn't mean that it's not one. So anyway, the guy goes. He still hasn't paid.
He's like, I'm not happy with this because my Porsche is actually really important to me, and the scratches actually, I know that you fixed it, but I'm going to know it's there. Okay. I'm going to know it's there the whole time.
Should have gone to.
I don't know whether I can live.
Should have gone to. I'm trying to. Was that? No, you won't even know the answer to this. I'm just guessing. Davenports, were they? That was the one that Sally had that affair with, and they had a daughter called Gemma. Were they a garage or were they a car dealership? Doesn't matter. Anyway, so Abby can sense that Kevin is fairly annoyed at her later, and again she tries to apologise, but he just snaps at her. He wants to get on with his work in silence. They have a bit more of a bicker. Again, Cassie is kind of loving this. Later on, Abby's in the cafe nursing a mug of tea. Roy comes over to her and says, look, what's up? It's about the scratch, she says. I just don't remember doing it, and I'm taking all the blame here for something that I'm only assuming that it must have been me that did. And Roy looks like he's going to tell her. We don't see the moment itself, but the next time we see Abby, she's marching over to the garage saying, it was a Cassie, she did it. So I'm glad that Roy said what he did.
Well, Roy follows her. Roy follows her.
Yeah. I thought you were talking like he follows her on Instagram, and he...
Roy and
he's a big fan of Abby, so obviously he was going to tell her. Should have just DM'd it to her.
He's like, I do like Abby. She's a very down-to-earth girl, but I follow her for her glam pictures because she can really... The makeup she does, it's very skillful.
Anyway, Cassie comes out and says, oh, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to blame Abby. I was going to confess earlier, but you offered me the job. No, she's fired on the spot. She does look proper sorry for herself, though, because again, maybe it's a bit of a touch of the daisies coming out as well, but I'd really like to see the best in Cassie, and I think she has really realised that she's messed up here. She it's like with the family. She wants to get to know her family better, but sometimes just can't help having a bit of drugs.
Making bad decisions, really bad decisions. That's what she does. This was the scene where she says, "What's that they say in The Apprentice?" And Abby and Kevin say, "You're fired." And she says, "No."
Before that, thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah. So Kevin obviously has fallen over himself to apologise to Abby later, and he's like, "I shouldn't have doubted you. We're well rid of Cassie."
That she did it.
Yeah.
She's like, "I must have been me," and he's like, "Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't do it."
That's why you need your CCTV, Kevin. Many problems could be solved with CCTV. There's lots of things like in dramas and soaps and everything these days where you got to explain, well, Why don't they have their mobile phone with them or working?
Yeah.
So many problems in stories of the past now couldn't happen because people would have a mobile phone. And CCTV is something that, again, realistically would be all over some of these places. But I suppose you can get away with it not being. It's not as prevalent and it's kind of hidden away so you don't notice when it's not there.
I think you would. I think Gavin would be the sort of person who wouldn't have CCTV anyway.
He is a bit of
like, I don't want someone spying on me, even if it's myself.
Yeah, that's true. Or maybe he just prefers the old-fashioned method of employing somebody to sit there and jaw everything that's going on.
What, like a court reporter?
Yeah, like a court sketch artist. He likes the old-fashioned touch to it. Anyway,
yeah, and the court reporter's like, they're going, "Here, yes, this is Abby's. This is Cassie scratching the car up." Damning evidence.
This blonde woman with bright white teeth. It's her. Just like, but we got two blonde women with bright white teeth.
Can you see the woman who did it in the room?
Yeah. Anyway, Abby and Kevin are back home later, and Cassie comes round. Abby's kind of willing to forgive her, isn't she? Because when Cassie was doing a "woe is me" speech earlier, it kind of makes a light bulb come above Abby's head, because what Cassie's saying about herself, like, "Oh, I'm so self-destructive. I always, every time things are going well." Yeah, Abby's like, "Oh, that sounds like me 5 years ago." So she says, "Look, Kev, let's give her another chance." So they go round number 9, tell Cassie, "You got your job back." Abby says, "Oh, me and you have got a lot in common." And I really enjoyed the final shot of this storyline where Abby says something like, "You're the before and I'm the after," and her and Kevin share a bit of a joke about this, and Cassie's like, "Screw you."
I know, yeah. Sorry, I'm not a before anything.
Yeah.
That was a really dick thing to say.
It
was funny and hilarious, but
I don't know whether it was. I think it's a sort of bants that you might have with your colleagues, and I think that
she didn't like it.
She clearly didn't, but I don't blame them for saying it. I think that it's taking the rip out of your colleagues, especially in an environment like the garage. I think that's kind of fair.
Well, now it's 50% female, Michael. Perhaps the bants are going to be not so.
Oh yeah, isn't it?
Not so free and flowing.
Wow.
They have to get their Totty of the Month calendar down.
So, what do you think Cassie's next move is going to be? Is she gonna double down on pursuing Kev? Because it was Abby who made that.
Is she really trying to steal Kevin off of
I'm
Abby?
sorry, Mike
really
Lavelle. It's nothing to do with you. But what is it that Cassie sees in Kevin? Is it because he is she just jealous of the stable home life that Abby has, and that's what she's always wanted?
He's a business owner, and he's a stable guy, and he's got lots of money, I guess.
He's a nice guy. They get on. Yeah, no, I think so.
I don't think he's a bad person. But if you said describe Kevin in 3 words, it wouldn't be a nice guy.
Wouldn't be there, and maybe even in your top 10. So they have a good time in the garage together, but yeah, he just seems like
Kevin is one of the characters that really doesn't have. It's like they established his personality 20 years ago, and they've made no effort whatsoever to like you know Kevin, don't you? Yeah. We're not really going to do anything.
Yeah, he's just Kev.
He's Kevin.
Yeah, when was it? I don't even remember when the last time that Kev had actually a proper, decent, big story. I mean, we might be going back to the days of Malvin. Yeah, I remember that. He's not been the centre of anything, has he?
No.
So there's
he
been...
Was involved
you're right,
he was involved in the... Oh, I don't know. Go on.
Yet again... We've got a situation here where a character is plotting to split up a relationship on the street, and once again I'm thinking, well, we never see Abby and Kevin together. What is it about Abby and Kevin that would make it so tragic if they were to? I don't know. It's exactly the same as Sarah and Adam. It's just, every time a couple get together, we don't see the day-to-day life stuff of them. And actually, that's something that's been quite nice with the Billy and Paul story. We have got to see a bit of that home life. We know what they're like as a couple.
Good to watch.
When Abby and Kevin got together, it was a bit of like, okay, that's a bit weird. Are they suited for each other? He's a little bit older, but that's not necessarily a deterrent.
I don't care about that.
But we've seen small bits and pieces of life at number 13. But are they a good couple, or are they just a conveniently play? Let's put they work together. They can bunk up.
What I'd love to do, if we had unlimited money, I would do for YouTube. I would do a YouTube series of. I'd get a bunch of people who'd only watched it for a year, and I'd ask them questions about characters. I'd be like, right, Abby.
That'd be really interesting.
What family members does Abby have? Right? Can anybody who's watched the show for a year tell me Abby's got a baby?
No, I know. Alfie's made one appearance again at Christmas special.
Kevin is helping to raise this baby, or is he just going, well, I hope this doesn't interfere with your pant washing, because I'm going to have stuff to say about it if it does. Like, if I was Kevin, he's a very stoic, masculine, grumpy, sort of leave me alone kind of dude, right? If I had to live with a baby at that age, I'd be going mad. None of them seem to like have any kind of, they'd never say, oh, Alfie was right bastard last night, we'll go to sleep. No, nothing.
No.
And so also, so what does Cassie think? Does Cassie know she's got a baby but it's not Kevin's baby? She wonder who this one-legged kid that turned up the other day is. Who's this kid?
Yeah.
Like what? Oh, you didn't even know you had a son. Oh, more than that, I've got 2 daughters. Don't know where they've gone.
I don't think that. I mean,
and it's not important, but it is still. My point is that like you're saying about Paul and Billy, how much focus is there on that family? You can know lots of things about that family, but people like Kevin are a bit of an enigma.
It's when it's because they don't have breakfast scenes in their houses anymore. Everybody either doesn't have breakfast on screen, or they go to the cafe. And those moments where people come down and they're sitting at the table and just having their general family chat, like many families do of a morning.
I don't think many families do that.
And when do we see them? When do we see characters eating dinner in their own home? Sometimes. I mean, but versus the number of times they're eating out.
You hardly ever see. You see.
No.
You see. You might see the Nazirs doing it, and you might see Tyrone and the kids doing it.
Yeah, maybe. But on the whole, if somebody's eating food, they are eating out, aren't they? And I suppose we do see interactions between them when they're eating out. But I think you just can't beat the family in the home.
Yeah.
Nobody else is with you. Day-to-day silliness. And so, I like Abby. I obviously really, really like Abby. I think I'm on similar page to you with Kevin, and I recognise his importance to the show.
Oh, yeah,
but if Cassie were to split up Abby and Kevin, I think my reaction would probably be, oh, I'm sad that Abby's going to be sad, but oh well for that relationship.
Yeah, it's not like you're going, oh no, but we need them in the set together. Where will Abby appear? Abby will carry on working at the garage because...
Yeah, she's a good fit.
She's a mechanic. So what difference would it make to anybody? I mean, there are probably people that don't even know they're going out with each other. What do Abby and Kevin do to let you know that they're
more than just
colleagues?
Yeah. Well,
nothing.
So, do you think though is the plan now that Cassie is gonna try and do her best to steal Kevin away or dirty Abby's name?
I think it's going to fall flat on its face if she tries, because what on earth would what does Cassie see in Kev? Yeah, what would Kev see in Cassie?
Well, yeah, exactly. I wonder whether Cassie could get herself some drugs from Dean and that spike some of Abby's tea or something and say, oh, Abby's fallen off the wagon.
Got to have dinner before someone can spike it,
Michael. So I don't know, but I'd like to like this story more than I do, and I like all the players involved. It's just not mega gripping me at the moment.
What's this about a toilet?
Oh, I wrote that note in the wrong place.
Oh.
That's talking about Paul's toilet. And I mentioned that earlier. Okay, so dogs.
There you go. I mean, also, Mike Lavall's good. I think he gets overlooked a lot.
Oh, he totally does, yeah.
But
he's very reliable.
How would you know?
Yeah.
How would you know from what Kevin gets up
more
to?
More Kev.
Well, more everybody.
Right. Do you want to do the dog storyline?
I love it.
The dogless dog storyline.
Where's the dog, please? On Tuesday.
If we get to the end of this puppy farming story and we haven't seen a single puppy throughout, it's because what was the dog's name? Taylor.
Yeah.
Like we said, that's not a puppy. There's got to be a scene with a load of cute puppies for this because I'm rapidly losing interest, I'm afraid to say.
Yeah, me
and this
too.
is an Evelyn storyline.
In the cafe later, Roy tells Evelyn that she's heard from Tyrone. Terry's been apprehended. Oh yeah, he is back, isn't he?
He's out.
No, Tyrone.
Oh yeah, of course.
I don't know where the hell he is. There's going to be a plea hearing tomorrow, so she's pleased about that. But it looks like the maximum sentence is going to be 6 months.
Just like Paul.
And Roy says that
he says that Terry's going to use his plea hearing to drop Evelyn in it, doesn't he?
It's not how it works, though, is it?
Well,
it's not like you can go, oh, sorry, Your Honour, I know that I did a crime, but someone else did a crime too.
I'm not
the
guilty,
judge is
but
not
she
going to
is.
be like, what? Oh my God, I can't believe it.
I don't know how the law
Evelyn,
works.
you've been stealing dogs. Right, stop this thing. Let's start a new court proceeding. You can be her lawyer, and you can be the other guy.
Well, ever since the beginning of this, Evelyn's been wondering why hasn't Terry dobbed me in for nicking his dog, and this is probably his last chance to publicly do it.
Well, she looks worried.
She's
like, no, that's not going to happen. But she looks worried anyway. Maria turns up, and Maria's there, and she says, I want Terry to plead guilty. Why does she care?
No, she says to Evelyn, what you want to do is for Terry to plead guilty.
Why? What's it to do with you anyway?
She just likes sticking in her bin. She's a hairdresser.
Find your own storyline. Later on, Rory finds Evelyn upset in the cafe in the dark, and she's like, oh no, I found out that it's worse. It's worse to steal dogs. You get 7 years. Who's going to send an old lady to prison for 7 years for stealing someone's dog?
Yeah, but, people catastrophise, don't they?
Oh, I don't know anything about that. On Wednesday, Tyrone isn't sure that Evelyn should go to court because Terry might say, Jacques! Like that. I think they don't understand how courts work. He's going to go instead. And she's like, okay. Then he phones up Tyrone and says, he pleaded guilty, sentencing later. Then he comes home and says, oh, he didn't go to prison. What's he going to prison for again? What's this for? What did he do?
Punched Tyrone in the face.
Didn't he kidnap her?
He kidnapped Evelyn. I can't remember. It
So
doesn't
why is he
particularly
not?
matter.
Why is this maximum 6 months for holding somebody hostage in a shop? And you can get 7 years for stealing a dog. What's happened?
Maybe it is just that I don't think it particularly matters.
Well, he's got community service.
Yeah.
For what? For kidnapping old ladies and punching their grandchildren.
It can't be the kidnap as well, can it? Because the question would be, why did you kidnap her?
No, they don't care about that, Michael. They don't care about that.
I kind of think that this is a story where we could do with seeing the court scenes just to remind us what happened. Christmas has happened in between all of that and this.
It's probably not a good idea, but I've decided I'm going to live my life based on how much time you get or how much in trouble you get on a soap for different crimes, because I would quite like to hold an old lady hostage in a shop and punch her grandchildren.
Yeah, but you'd also quite like to have a dog, wouldn't you?
I'd like to have a dog.
I don't think you want to risk 7 years.
I'm not going to steal that. I'm not going to steal a dog. What I'm going to do is, like I said, kidnap a grandma. Then I'll get community service working in a dog shelter.
Oh, yeah.
And then I can have all the dogs myself.
I loved Evelyn at the end of the episode where she's like says, oh, every dog has its day and what a day it will be. So she's kind of...
Well, she's annoyed, but...
She knows that he will get his comeuppance.
Yeah.
This isn't the end of this story. Just because Evelyn's got away with stealing the dog, it doesn't mean that he's going to happily go on farming puppies. So I hope that next week we'll see more of this. I wonder if his community service is going to be anywhere nearby Coronation Street. What do you think the chances of that are?
Do you think he's going to have to clean up Victoria Gardens?
Maybe he will, yeah. Or the precinct, possibly.
Sweeping outside Roy's.
Yeah. Cleaning the graffiti off of the garage, maybe. This story has definitely been stumbling a little bit for me, and I didn't think I'd enjoy it, but I was, and now I'm finding it a bit like, come on, get on with the good stuff. I don't know what I want to happen in the end. I mean, I was in no way worried that Evelyn, and I'm still not worried that Evelyn's going to get put in the slammer for this, are you?
Oh no.
So there needs to be some other kind of peril or excitement, really.
Anyway, the way the Weatherfield police work, they wouldn't be able to prove that Evelyn stole the dog.
Why?
They start getting because they can't do anything, can they? Can't investigate anything. Craig's gonna Craig will have like a crisis of I don't know, in knowledge and be like, I'm not even actually sure what the legal definition of a dog is now. I've thought about it too much and I've confused myself. And I like a dog and a cat, they're two different things. But I always thought the cats were the girls and the dogs were the boys. But that's not true. So I'm going to have to go away and do some research about what even a dog is. So before I can do any kind of investigation, I've got to get my facts straight.
Yes, that is.
But I can't do that because there's been another murder. So.
Right. So whatever on that story. It's whatever. I like Evelyn, but obviously not so exciting this week. And speaking of not so exciting, Ed is back. Now we know how it ends with him and Damon working together, but how did they get to that place?
Ed Gamble.
Ed, is this me? This is me. I think I'm doing this one. Not much really. Dee Dee's just is trying to get Michael to forgive Ed, and he's being particularly stubborn, isn't he? And thinking, well, no, that was the last door at Christmas.
Well, what has Ed done except go, oh, I'm sorry? Like
he has wallowed a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, but what's your plan to make it good?
Just keep on apologising. I think Michael obviously will come round to him. But,
yeah.
Anyway, Ronnie comes round to the yard and he's concerned that he might have been dropped into the police over the whole insider trading thing.
Well, Dee Dee went to the police station.
Yeah, but that Ed reassures him that that's not happened. But Ronnie fires back with a bit of bad news of his own because Edison partnership is over.
Isn't it Eddie Ron?
Oh yeah, Eddie Ron partnership is over.
Well, it was a silly name to begin with.
It was.
I'm not sad to see it go.
Anyway, just don't wallow,
What's wrong
says
with
Dee Dee about this. Monday, Ed tells Dee Dee, I'm going to a gambler's addiction meeting today and he's going to fix this. He's going to sell the yard too. Oh yeah, we saw the back of Sarge this story on Monday, didn't we? That kind of came out of nowhere. I was never expecting an actor like him to stay in the show for a super long amount of time, but I think I needed a bit more build up for that. And it feels like the story probably could have happened without Sarge in it.
This is one of those cases where I'm like, I don't mind that they brought him in. I'm not going to complain about too many new characters.
I've enjoyed him.
They obviously needed an extra person for the Baileys to bounce off, and he was provided that, pushed back a bit. It was interesting to see the family dynamics, and it feels very realistic that you have a family member if you got roots in another country, that you have family members that you just see once a year, once every 5 years or whatever. So Sarge going back home after Christmas. Yeah.
I wonder whether he's going to be the sort of character that will make the odd infrequent appearance. Now, I know he's getting on a bit, so there's only so many years where that can happen. But I'd love it if he was a bit like Linda or Christina, the mums of characters that could pop up for an episode or two
without wanting to be too morbid. Even if the actor, if the actor's fine. It definitely creates a nice, do you want to go on holiday? Yeah. Well, then we'll say that Sarge is dead, so maybe Baileys can go.
Maybe Ed's money problems will just be solved by Sarge dying and he leaves all this...
his food vans.
Yeah. But he'd probably leave him to Ronnie, wouldn't he? Or at least that's what Ed would say. Anyway, Dee Dee comes round and tells Michael and Sarge, who were watching Clash of the Titans, about Ed and how sorry he is. And Michael, well, they're both kind of rolling their eyes at her a little bit, but eventually Sarge does come round to see Ed in the yard and says, I'm sorry for being harsh on you. You've been a better father than I ever was.
That's really... that must mean a lot to Ed.
Absolutely. They have a lovely hug. It was a nice ending. And he says, look, I've got every faith in you that you're going to sort this out. So off I go.
Bye.
And and speaking of buy, Gary says that he might buy the yard off Ed.
Yeah,
so,
Gary, Ed's like,
back to Gary again.
Gary, do you want to buy the yard? And Gary's like, yeah, actually.
I'm really fed up of selling antique furniture or not selling. I just can't imagine that anyone ever buys anything from that furniture shop.
What gets me about it is that they live in Manchester, which is a famously rainy place, and he displays his sofas outside.
Yeah,
but then again,
it must bring down the for Nick and Leanne to have
surprised.
That skanky job.
But I'm
outside.
also surprised that Sally hasn't kicked off about having a tatty crap shop at the end of her road. But if I'm going to buy crap out of a tat shop, I would rather buy out of where Gary is now than out of some kind of dingy yard with like a weird staircase.
What do you mean?
Well, it's like a little cave in there, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
The yard. Is he going to use it? Is he going to make a business out of? Is he going to go back to?
Yeah, I think the idea I got is
building.
that he's back in the building trade.
But that would be silly then. For the thing is that Ed's not really thought this through or said anything about this, but he will be selling his property to a direct competitor and trying to stay in business.
Yeah.
That's not really helpful, is it?
No. Well, maybe it could be. We all know how spacious the builder's yard is. Just in that underground bit, the feeling got tied up in its final week. You could think how many sofas you could store under that. So maybe it is.
Yeah.
I think that Gary is better as a builder than a retailer.
Well, the thing, the whole point of this tat shop was that it was a front.
Is that where it came from? I can't remember.
I thought it was.
For his loan sharkery.
For whatever he was, or for stealing all of the money out of the tuck box
Poor
or whatever.
fish, she's going to come back from Norwich thinking that she's going to go back to a cosy job and it's going to be gone.
I think they should just say that Gary's moved to a warehouse and just film all of his scenes in the prop store.
Yeah.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
That was basically it. We had a couple of other things happening on the Sunday episode. Yasmin stops Stu from telling Eliza about Dom and the reason that he's not... Yeah, exactly. The reason that he's not there. She says maybe it's best that she doesn't know. Well, that's just asking for disaster, isn't it? Because she's going to find out. We had a couple of scenes with Bobby...
drinking her booze, stealing her
tomato sauce, yeah, and Carla decides that he needs a job. And so he gets a trial period on the sales team at the factory. So
I wanted to give him a bit of a smack.
Really? I'm sure you were alone in that, Gemma.
When he said, "Oh, what's he say about I've always wanted to get into women's pants and they'd look better on the floor." Like, no, just stop being sleazy and gross. Honestly.
I really want there to be a story where he winds up and like really, really irritates everybody in the factory. Apart from, it might be quite funny if Kirk finds him hilarious. I can barely see that happening.
And him pointing at him, go, he's funny. Well, there you go. We've written it for him.
And they can both share stories about being on Britain's Got Talent, can't they? Because didn't Kirk do something on that in character once? And also, new year, new job for Lauren. Well, back to her old job. Shona manages to cajole her into working back at the cafe because that's going to be convenient to the story in 2024, I guess.
There's literally no reason otherwise, is there?
No, I didn't really get what the point of having that one scene for it to happen here, rather than when they wanted the story to actually play out.
Well, yeah, and also, we still don't know what Lauren's up to.
No.
Where she's got all this stuff from,
Oh,
and is she working is she a sex worker, like we've said, and she's got clients that come and give her gifts? I wouldn't be like doing shifts down the cafe myself. I'd be boosting my rates.
Oh yeah.
Getting the OnlyFans up. Well, she's not on Ovid, is she? Because
I don't think
she got kicked
anymore.
off.
Yeah.
But now she can be because she's 18.
Yeah,
maybe that's
true.
what's happened.
I don't know. Okay, so there we go. That was the week of Coronation Street. Extra long week because of the New Year's Day episode. I didn't think it was too bad. It had its ups and its downs. It started well. The New Year's Eve episode was similar to the Christmas Day episode in that not loads and loads of plotty things happened. But there was enough for me to get excited about it, and I really did love having the Rovers back. Yes, it's gone back to exactly the way it was before, except -1 fruit machine plus 1 sofa. But it looks like the story's still ongoing, and they've recognised that they can't just say, well, it was fine as it was before. They need to get more cash. So I love that. Love seeing Jenny and Daisy together. By the way, we have discovered since recording the intro to this earlier that when Mike Rye surprise at how many episodes Jenny and Daisy had showed up in this year, well, that's not the end of the story, is it?
No.
That was actually the highest number of episodes that any characters have ever appeared in Coronation Street in a calendar year.
That's pretty amazing.
Congratulations,
that's
ladies.
That's quite astounding.
I mean, obviously they're not going to do it back in the days when there's only 2 episodes and now you got 6, but that doesn't matter. I mean, I think that's something to be proud of.
Oh, definitely.
I just would never have expected it for Jenny, but she's got one of those kind of service jobs where she's always going to be popping up in the background of things, isn't she? Daisy, I'd say, yeah, she's been in it loads. Jenny's been in it a good amount, but she's not dominated the show, I would say, in the same way as Daisy. But yeah.
Yeah.
Biggest number of appearances ever. Good job. Right, speaking of characters, Gemma, do you have a character of the week this year? This year. First one this year.
Character of the week.
Yes.
Oh no. Let me score it first.
Go on then.
3.
3 what?
3 dead mice behind a barrel. And that is half a mark more than last week, isn't it?
Yes. Better to find 3 dead mice behind a barrel than 3.5 dead mice behind a barrel. Nobody
really
wants
smell.
to be dealing with half a dead mouse. I think I liked it more than you. I wasn't so keen, obviously, on all the Damon and Harvey stuff and Adam. But I am going to give this one. I'm going to give it 3.5. Gangsters who are sensitive to mental health issues out of 5. I'm edging towards Paul being Daniel of the Daniel of the week.
Daniel of the week.
Paul being character.
No,
of
I
the
was
week
thinking
again.
character of the week. Yeah,
He was really good. Are we going to go for Paul?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.